All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream, or welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining me today and waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. Now, I'm going to say this a couple times throughout the stream, and I'm going to put extra emphasis on it. Guys, hit that like button, okay? If you want to help the stream, especially this one, I'm going to have to ask you to hit the like button because there's something going on where every single time I even attempt to bring Microsoft or Xbox into the conversation, it attracts a certain group of people that basically try their hardest to dislike, to mass dislike the stream. And obviously that will throttle the stream. So if you want to help me out, just do me a favor and hit that like button. I normally ask you to do that throughout the course of the stream, and I always say it helps, but particularly for topics like this, it helps much more so. Yeah, I'm feeling better today. Yeah, I'm glad you're saying I'm looking better. Well, that's good. I'm feeling better. I ate a bunch of carrots after my stream yesterday. Mrs. MBG was telling me that that's what she was doing, and she was starting to feel better. And she was like, I'm telling you, eat the carrots. It's going to make you feel better. I thought she was exaggerating, of course, but that's what I did. I ate a bunch of carrots, and I feel, I would say I'm like 90 or 95% today. I'm not exactly 100%. Still have a slightly running nose, but I feel so much better than I did yesterday. And we have the Leninator FFC rejoining the MBG army here. Leninator, really appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Looks like you re-upped your membership, so welcome back. Always appreciate that support, buddy. And we have Snumpkin X, a member for 7 months, saying, hit that like button, everyone. Yeah, I'd really appreciate it, man, because, I mean, people get so upset when I talk about Xbox, and I get it. I mean, I'm not saying that I expect everybody to be totally cool and chill. It's just unrealistic, but there's nothing untrue about my title. It's not an exaggeration. It's not snarky. It's not, trying to throw shade. It's just a fact. It's a literal fact. Microsoft is out here celebrating how well they're doing on PlayStation, and they're doing so as the Xbox consoles reach a new low sales-wise. And I get it. Like, there are people who don't want me to talk about that, but this is actually pretty relevant to, I think, the future of PlayStation. I mean, obviously, this is very relevant to the future of Xbox and Microsoft. Sarah laughs a lot. I see you, bro. I see you. But this is, I would say, more so relevant to the potential future of, Xbox, more Xbox games coming to PlayStation. Check something here real quick. Anime fan says, just want to let you know, bro, you're doing an amazing job. So keep on doing what you do. I'm very proud of you. Well, thank you for that, anime fan. It's very kind of you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll keep doing my best here, keep trucking along, no matter how many dislikes we get. So yeah, I just want to give an apology in advance if I seem to ask you guys to like this stream a little bit more so than I normally do. You know why. And if you could do me a favor, as more people file in and the stream progresses, just tell people in the chat, remind them to hit that like button. Because I don't appreciate that. It's like if I was actually out here just straight up hating on Xbox, saying the worst things about it, I could understand that. But these people who are doing this, they're basically attempting to throttle the streams, and it's unfortunate because I'm just trying to do what I do here, And we have Corey, the Legend Landiga, kicking things off today by dropping 5 membership gifts for you guys. He drops a 5 bomb right off the bat.
Appreciate it.
So we're already sitting at 6 members on the day. He says we need to summon the boss. Yeah, boss isn't in here right now. He was actually sleeping upstairs. I went to go check. So I let him be. But you guys know how it goes. If we hit 25 members today, if we hit our goal, we'll bring the beast in, we'll feed him, And I do owe you guys reps as well, so I will let you know. We don't have to hit 50 members today to get some reps by the end of the stream. If we do hit 50 members, maybe we'll do an extra set or two. But we had a huge day yesterday on the channel. A lot of membership gifts flowing, and obviously it was awesome. So if we, whether or not we hit that goal today, at the end of the stream, when we're finished talking about the topics and everything, we'll do some reps. And we have Mini Tom Official coming in, dropping another 5-bomb, following up Corey, the Legend Landiga. Mini Tom Official making his presence known, dishing out 5 gifts for you guys. Really appreciate that, Mini Tom.
Appreciate it.
And just like that, we're already at 11 members. So you guys are off to an early start here with the membership train. I also have a super chat from ACM, $5 chat. He says, how messed up would it be if you woke up to Jesus giving you birthday spankings and it wasn't your birthday? ACM, bro, what is going on with your super chat? What, like, I mean, there's so many things I could have anticipated, and that was not one of them. Not even remotely. I hear Mrs. MBG, she's cracking up in the other room. Bro, what are you doing? All I can say to that is that would be messed up, bro. Like, that super chat's messed up, that thought is messed up, and the idea of that actually happening would be messed up. So, ACM, I don't know what's going on, bro, but I'm going to have to move on and just simply say thank you so much for the super chat, bro, and for being a member. That is wild, bro. And we have Hellbound 1981, another legend, coming in, dropping a 5-bomb in the name of boss. Josh says he has to be stoned. Something tells me he's not, dude. Something tells me that was very well thought out. Like, he really thought about that for a while before typing it. He's like, how do I want to spend this $5 super chat? But Hellbound comes in, drops another 5 membership gifts for you guys, and just like that, we are at 16 members. So less than 10 away from crushing the first goal. Clearly, you guys want to see Boss get his snacks today at some point. So, Hellbound, thank you for that, man.
Enough from me.
Throwing a Jim Ryan there for you. But yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about today. We have Microsoft revealing their quarterly earnings, and it's not all bad. Again, like, I know that there are going to be Xbox players or just people who come in that, oh man, MBG's talking about Xbox again. Rage, anger, clown mode, engage, whatever it is they want to talk about. But the reality is Microsoft and the Xbox division is doing very well. They're doing very well financially. However, there is, I think, 2 very important things that are being revealed through these earnings and what Microsoft specifically is saying about the Xbox console hardware and their presence on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Obviously, the big question that we all have is Microsoft planning to bring more of their games to PlayStation, to the Nintendo Switch. Is it eventually going to be the whole slate? Well, based off of what we're going to cover today, it's not a guarantee, but it seems like, a safe bet, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, Xbox is prepping that X dongle. Yeah. All right, so let me dive into this information and let you guys know what's going on. I also do want to say this as well to you guys. I have a new type of format, I guess, or schedule, whatever you want to call it. Look, I'm not going to say that I'm committed to it because I have to experiment and see if it works. But I've been getting a lot of feedback. I have been for a while now. People saying like, bro, we like the streams. We appreciate the streams, but we want more video content. The videos have been lacking. And I will admit, for the past 2 months, oh, what was that? Hold on. Oh, look at that. There we go. So it does work. Okay. Interesting. So Snumpkin here actually donated directly through Streamlabs, which you can do that in the pinned comment in the chat. It takes you to a Streamlabs donation, and that's the notification that plays. And he says here, I really think Xbox hardware is dead. Look at Microsoft's investor reports. Xbox might actually get out of gaming by 2027. Well, I agree with the first part of what you're saying here, Slumpkin, and thank you for the tip, by the way, or the direct donation. I agree when you say that you really think Xbox hardware is dead, And we are going to cover that. We are going to go over the investor report that, I mean, to be honest, it's like, yeah, the writing is absolutely on the wall at this point. You just have to ask, like, when is the funeral being held? Truthfully. The only thing I don't agree with, though, is the second part when you say that Xbox might actually get out of gaming by 2027. If you mean, I'm assuming you meant to say, like, the hardware space. Like, Microsoft might exit the console hardware space and the dedicated hardware space in gaming by 2027. Even then, I don't know that I agree because they already committed to a next generation Xbox. But I'm going to talk more about that in just a couple minutes here after I let you guys know about the schedule update that I'm trying to put together here. But again, Stumpkin, appreciate that, bro. And thank you for basically being the first to do that while we're streaming. So it confirms to me that the notification does work. But I just wanted to let you guys know that here's the plan, okay? Plans could change. I know it's hard. I'm all over the place. The past 2 months have been pretty rough. I had so much going on. And that's why my scheduling has been all over the place. That's why there's been a lack of videos. The streams have been very spontaneous. But my goal is to create a schedule where around 5 to 6 days a week, I guess we'll do like 6 days a week if there's like bonus stuff to talk about, if there's like a busy week. But 5 to 6 days a week, I'm going to do one stream, one video, and one short. That's the plan. Again, it could change. I have to see how it works out, but this is going to be in an effort to satisfy everybody. First, there will be a stream that goes out. So those who are interested in the streams, tune in, watch them. You get the long form content. You know, we get to talk about God knows what for how long. If you're just interested in the videos, you're going to get a video the same day after the stream. And the short is going to go out at the same time that the video goes out. So if you're just somebody who really is like, I don't want to listen to MBG for more than a minute at a time, there will be shorts out there. Again, assuming I can keep up the pace, that's my goal. I want to check off all 3 boxes every day. So that way, all of my subscribers and anybody who's choosing to subscribe to the channel, everybody can get what it is they're looking for. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there and let everybody know. We also have a super chat here from Planet Schlorpian who says 50 million plus PS5s shipped / sold and counting despite the PC ports. Sony is clearly doing something right with their strategy. Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing, Planet Schlorpian, what's going to make this even more interesting is we have yet to get Sony's yearly earnings report. Sony's yearly earnings is going to occur on May 14th, and that's going to be very important to pay attention to because we're going to learn about how much PlayStation 5 console sales dropped, and I'm going to say that they dropped. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they will actually be there will be an increase, but I'm going to assume that the last quarter we're also going to see a sales drop for PS5 consoles, but more importantly, we're going to see how close they got to, or maybe actually achieving the 20 million or 21 million units sold in the fiscal year. But you are correct here, right? Like the PS5 for the past 3.5 years has done very well. And this is with PC ports becoming the norm. And even now with, again, like seeing Helldivers drop day and date on PC alongside console, I think there's still too much unknown. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I can definitively say the PS5 console is going to easily sell 100 million. I don't know that. I do feel like things are changing. Things have been changing rapidly. I think the way things are right now in 2024 compared to how they were in 2021, drastically different in some ways. I think the way things are going to be in 2027 compared to 2024, drastically different. I think a lot is going to change, but I will say that I'm leaning much more so, like I'm 75% sure that Sony is going to remain heavily committed to the console, and they're going to do everything they can to, again, reach that 100 million sold and see how far they can push beyond that, maybe get to 110, 120. And as I've pointed out many times previously, for as cheesy as it might sound, the best is yet to come. Not just for Sony, believe it or not, but for Microsoft as well, over the next 4 years. We're talking about, development teams that have been working on games for the past 3 or 4 years that we haven't even heard about. These are all games and studios that are going to be ready to fire off in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. And so these are all going to be games and projects that are, I think, really going to end up defining this generation. And yeah, also GTA 6, of course. GTA 6 alone could probably do it. But when you throw that in the mix, I mean, the reality is the people who've said that it feels like this generation has hardly gotten off to a start, I think they're right. I think Sony's been doing a great job providing content, making sure they're giving people reasons to go out and buy a PS5. But when it comes to the really generational defining moments, I don't think that has really occurred in a truly substantial way. And I think that's right around the corner. I do. I think it begins this year and it just ramps up, going into 2025 and beyond until we eventually approach the PlayStation 6. We have True Witty here with a super chat saying Xbox playing Limbo. How low can you go? Wow. Yeah, I mean, what's so interesting to me about the information we're about to go over is that Microsoft isn't even they're not trying to hide it anymore. They're not trying to course correct, so to speak. They're just embracing where they are. And maybe that's the smart thing to do because, again, they're making more money. And at the end of the day, I guess that's ultimately the goal, right? But it's crazy to see how much Xbox console sales have fallen off. And in the past, what we've seen from Microsoft is this concerted effort to really try to turn it around. Hey, it's okay, guys. We're gonna correct this. We're gonna do everything we can to boost these sales. We're gonna try to get back at it. And they seemingly have truly given up where they're done. They're just really done trying to boost console sales. They've moved on. And I'm going to let you know why in just a minute here. So we're starting here. This is actually, I first came across this from Zubitech over on Twitter, and he listened in to the earnings report. And when it comes to Microsoft Xbox hardware for fiscal year 2024, Q1, that was between July and September of 2023, Q1 Xbox sales down minus 7%. Q2 of 2023, or the 2024 fiscal year, that's between October and December. So the holiday period, plus 3%. That's also when Starfield launched. So the Xbox consoles saw a 3% boost in their most, in their most peak moment, I guess you could say, that would occur in a 12-month span. Still not great, but where things really get bad, and man, do they get bad. Q3, which is the most current up-to-date earnings, this is what Microsoft revealed to their shareholders yesterday. Q3 fiscal year 2024 running through January to March 2024, minus 31%. No console in history has hit this low, according to Zubitech. This is truly a new low for Xbox console sales. And I know that there are certain Xbox players who are getting very upset that I'm relaying this fact to you right now, but that is just the way it is. I can't say it's surprising. I think that this was a likely occurrence, or at least a more likely occurrence based off of the things that happened. I mean, think about what happened between January and March, dude. The Xbox brand was basically lit on fire, and they had to put that fire out. But negative 31% for the first 3 months of the year, that is a new low, and that is very, very bad. But what makes this really interesting is we have Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella coming out and addressing the shareholders directly. And this is exactly what he said. Quote, "We committed to meeting players where they are by bringing great games to more people on more devices. We are expanding our games to new platforms, bringing 4 of our fan favorite titles to Nintendo Switch and Sony PlayStation for the first time. In fact, earlier this month, we had 7 games among the top 25 on the PlayStation Store, more than any other publisher," end quote. And here we are. We are seeing it happen. We've been witnessing it, but now we are really beginning to see Microsoft not shy away from it and embrace it and just flat out make it clear. Hey, we are one of the biggest, if not the biggest publisher on PlayStation. We went from talking about whether or not the Xbox Series X and the Series S were going to be able to compete with the PS5, whether or not Microsoft was going to have a mid-gen refresh console. We went from talking about that to now their CEO directly flexing towards their shareholders, being like, that's right, we're winning in our own way. And you know what? That's the crazy situation here is Microsoft is winning in the way that matters to them most. Being the biggest publisher on Sony on PlayStation is huge for them, and their shareholders are probably delighted. But if you are a fan of the console, if you are a fan of console hardware, man, this is some bad news because it really seems like Xbox is pretty much done, dude. And I also think, on the other hand, if you are a PlayStation player or a Nintendo Switch player and you've been hoping that Microsoft brings more of their games to PlayStation or to Switch, I think this is actually really good news, and I think it clearly conveys a message that we're going to keep doing this. We have 18 May here with a $20 super chat. Really appreciate it, bud. You're saying, if Microsoft gets out of the console market, will many Sony fans still have this heightened level of vitriol towards the company, or will it soften? It's the disdain connected towards IP, or is the disdain connected towards IP or trying to compete in the console market? It's a great question, 18 May. I think that's like one of the most relevant questions, right? Like, is this vitriol, like you're saying, is it still going to be as strong? Is it still going to be as intense from the PlayStation fan base or from a portion of the PlayStation fan base if Microsoft basically continues to do what they're doing, which, again, we kind of see it on the wall right now. The writing is on the wall that, like, yeah, we just don't care about competing in the console space. Like, go ahead, Sony. We hope you sell as many consoles as you can, and we hope you beat us because we're making money off of you too. I think the answer is yes and no. I think it's a 50-50 situation. I think that there will be people who will see, like, eventually when games like Starfield and who knows, maybe even at some point Halo and Gears, if these titles do eventually make their way to PlayStation, and it just, over the months and over the years, it becomes clear like Microsoft is in fact going for the whole slate here, I think a lot of people are going to just soften up, like you're saying here, and just be like, well, I mean, the competition's over, so, you know, they're not fighting for me to go to them. They're not asking anything of me other than maybe to buy their game on my preferred console. I think we're already seeing that. I think you're already seeing a lot of positivity being shown towards games like Sea of Thieves, towards Grounded, and towards Hi-Fi Rush that just, you know, came to PlayStation. And I've already seen people, you know, some upset Xbox fans, I would assume, saying like, well, hey, you know, like, I thought you guys hated Xbox games. It's like, well, well, first off, it's pretty obvious that not all PlayStation players hate Xbox games. I think it's just a very obvious situation of like, I invested in the PlayStation console, I invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, and whatever Microsoft is doing over there, it's not compelling enough to make me go out and also buy an Xbox console. And that's the situation. You know, you're talking about PlayStation players who have built digital libraries over the course of many years at this point, right? You're talking about players who are basically they're being asked to decide, like, do you want God of War, you know, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Ratchet and Clank? Do you want stuff like that? Or do you want, you know, Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush and Forza and whatnot? And I think for just a lot of people, it's clearly, yeah, I'm going to go with Sony for now. And maybe I'll get around the Xbox. And I think that this is just why you're starting to already see it soften up, because it's clear what's happening. Now, on the other side, though, the reason why I said it's kind of 50-50 is because I think that there are still going to be people that are going to hate Xbox forever and Microsoft forever. I think some people think that I'm one of those people. Not necessarily. Like, I think what's a little bit kind of shitty with this situation. It depends on how you view it. There's multiple angles and multiple perspectives you can see it from. But it is worth noting that the reason why Microsoft is doing so well all of a sudden and making so much revenue and making so much money is because they bought publishers. It's not because they made great games. It's not because they did it the hard way, I don't, for lack of a better term. It's because they said, we're going to buy Bethesda and then we're going to buy Activision Blizzard and then we're just going to rake in all that revenue. And here's the thing. The reason why I said it depends on the perspective you view it from is because if you're viewing it from the purely business perspective, where, dude, there's no rules here, like this isn't about morality. If Microsoft can afford to buy publishers and they can make that happen and that's how they win and that's how they get the most amount of money, then so be it. What's the problem? And I get that. In the business world, absolutely. But I also view it from another angle as well, where it's like, it is kind of weak in a way, where it's like, yeah, we're fucking killing it revenue-wise. We're like the top publisher on PlayStation now. Like, yeah, because you just bought Activision and Bethesda. So it's like, the question is, who is this a win for truly? And the answer is, this is a win truly for Microsoft shareholders, for Sony, and for PS5 players. This is a loss purely for the Xbox fans and the Xbox fan base. And look, I'm not saying that the Xbox fans should rage and lose their shit, because we already saw that in February. You're saying it's a win for the gamers, but the reality is it's actually mostly a loss for Xbox fans, because you have to keep in mind that Microsoft sold Xbox fans, since they created the original Xbox, on this idea of invest in us, invest in our console, invest in our ecosystem, invest in our games, invest in our services, invest in all of that. And we're going to incentivize you by keeping it here. Come to us and do that. And there have been people who've done that. And that's why you saw the most loyal hardcore Xbox fans in February of this year really lose their minds, because Microsoft basically turned to them and said, you're not enough anymore. We can't do this anymore. We have to give this stuff that we said was just going to be for you to everybody, even to PlayStation. Sorry. And now we're seeing a point where they're even bragging about how well they're doing on PlayStation. So I'm not saying if you're an Xbox fan, you should be raging and losing your minds. It's for each person to determine. Are there Xbox players who don't give a single shit? Yes. And I'm not sitting here saying you should. I am just saying, however, that as somebody who pays close attention to this, you can't really overlook that. It is a thing that just occurred in the course of 6 months. Microsoft shifted their strategy. Well, they didn't even shift it. Microsoft flipped their strategy upside down in a matter of 6 months, in the name of, we need to make more money and we need to keep the shareholders happy. And we'll do that at the cost of our most loyal, dedicated console fan base. And to be fair, though, when you look at how Xbox sales were faring, even before they made that decision, you do have to question, like, was that the wrong choice? If you look at where they are now, maybe not. Maybe not. But again, the big question for me personally is, what does this mean for the future of competition in the console space specifically? I think we know what this means for the future of competition game development wise. Microsoft is not just going to stop game development. Microsoft is going to absolutely continue game development, more so than ever before, now that they own Activision and Bethesda. So that's going to continue. And we're going to see Sony's PlayStation studios still competing up against Microsoft's and all the other third-party publishers. But specifically, when it comes to the console hardware, where's that competition going? Is it over? Like, will there actually be meaningful competition anymore, or are those days gone? Are those days done because Microsoft said, hey, we're bowing out here. Like, we're still going to make a console. We're still going to sell it, but we're not actually competing. Like, this is just for that small group of loyal, dedicated fans that still will support, that still not even support, but they want an Xbox console no matter what. That's my question, because what I'm beginning to see here is, as Microsoft is now bragging about the level of success they're finding on PlayStation, as their console hardware is reaching a new low, it clearly, to me, begins to communicate that going forward, Sony's going to have to either A, compete with themselves, or B, compete with Nintendo. And there's also the bigger question, which is, how does Sony really feel about this? Is Sony looking at this saying, well, great, we don't really have to worry about competing with the Xbox console anymore. We win. Now let's sit back and continue to just sell those consoles. Or is Sony's mindset also shifting internally as well, where they're seeing what Microsoft is doing, they're seeing how quickly they're moving up the ladder and making more and more money, and they're seeing how lucrative it can be to just embrace publishing on other consoles and other platforms. We know Sony's already doing that with PC. How much is this influencing Sony? Is it influencing them at all? Or is it just, again, is this a situation where Sony's just like, well, hey, bring your games over here. We'll make some money off of it and we'll sell our consoles. I got a couple of super chats here. I do have more info to go over here with you guys, but I'll read these super chats. Appreciate all the support, by the way, guys. And again, hit that like button. All right, we have 346 people here. I want to see as many people right now hit that like button as they can, because we have some, I guess, upset Xbox fans coming in here and just, they really don't like the title of today's stream and they're trying real hard. So hit that like button. Come on, let's get to 200 likes. Nick says no. Nick, I compel you. I compel you right now. You hit that like button, Nick. You do it. I'm just kidding. If you really don't want to, you don't have to, but I'd appreciate it. We have, so 18 May, by the way, thank you for that super chat, buddy. And really quick, though, I got a little bit off track. Just to answer the second part of your question, or the first part, I mean, will there still be people who hate Xbox no matter what? Yes, there will be. There will be. And I think that's because even if Microsoft tomorrow says we're going full third party, we're putting all of our games everywhere, we really just don't care about the console. We don't even care if you subscribe to Game Pass. If that's what Microsoft does, like, it's not just going to suddenly make everybody turn around and be like, oh, we love you now, Microsoft. Like, no, there are people that have been following, Microsoft and Sony for many years, and people have different reasons for why they don't like certain companies, right? Like, for me, I don't literally hate Microsoft. I just think that the way they've went about transforming their business model is pretty weak. To me, it's not exciting. It's just like, okay, you found your own way to win. Cool. But it feels like it came at the expense of the console and the console fan base. So to me, that's pretty weak. However, on the other side of it, most of the games that they are putting out and that they have been putting out, I'm just not into. Like, the only game that I see coming anytime soon that I'm actually potentially going to be pretty excited for is Hellblade 2, maybe State of Decay 3. So, like, I can only answer for me. I'm not going to perpetually hate Xbox. In fact, if they do bring the whole slate over to PlayStation, there are some of these games that eventually I will play. Yes, and I'll think, wow, this is pretty cool. It's nice to play this on my PS5 and be able to unlock some trophies. Is Sea of Thieves or Grounded, are those the games right now? No. But will there be those people that they're like, I will never touch an Xbox game. I would not touch an Xbox with a 10-foot pole. Destroy your Xbox. Yes, that will always exist. I think it's just because Microsoft has been involved in the quote-unquote console wars for too long, Let me see. So I got a couple more super chats here. We got Cypherpunk. He says, Microsoft wouldn't care if they sold 10 Xboxes a year. They are making more money. Why they always ranked first or second place company-wise? Or that's why they are always ranked first or second place company-wise. It's all about the dollar. Yeah, you're not wrong, Cypherpunk. And that's what's interesting is that's going to make people say, well, isn't Sony the same way? Isn't Sony all about the dollar? The answer is yes. We've talked about this many times. Sony is all about the bottom line, just like Microsoft is. But I think Sony has to be more nuanced in the way that they approach this. It's more of a balancing act for Sony than it is for Microsoft, because look, again, Cypherpunk, look at how Microsoft went about making more money. And to be clear, they still have to recoup the loss of what they paid for Activision, which is going to take a long time. Same thing with Bethesda. But yes, they did rise up. I think they're like in second place now, making the most amount of money in gaming, either second or third place. But they've went up a couple notches just in one fell swoop. But you have to, again, acknowledge, like, how did they do that? They did that by doing something that very few companies involved in the video game industry can do. And I mean very few. They did it by saying, we're just going to buy. We're going to pay to win. We're going to spend the money to make the money. And when we make all that money, we're going to see a rise in the ranks. And when we see that rise in the ranks, the shareholders are going to be happy and everything's going to be great. And that's how we're going to do it. And that's exactly what they brute force their way, bro. And I talked all about this in 2023 when this whole thing was going on, where it felt like the opposite of what I was hoping to see them do, which was, instead of brute forcing their way, do it in a more nuanced way, where it's like, we did it by making like the greatest video games in the industry that are undeniable and everybody wants to play. You know, like, they didn't do it that way. That's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying that it would have even been realistic for them to achieve that. It's hard, you know? It's hard for any company to achieve that. But at the same time, again, when we're looking at it simply through the business lens, like you're mentioning here, like, you know, Microsoft, like you're saying, Microsoft wouldn't care if they just sold 10 Xboxes a year. They're making more money. They're making more money. And you're right. You're right, dude. Like, that's it. Look, it seems to me like there was maybe a kind of power struggle, a little bit, a slight power struggle internally at Microsoft, where I think Phil Spencer didn't want it to turn out this way. I think Phil Spencer still was more along the lines of like, we want to propel the Xbox console. We want that to still be at the center. But over time, it just became clear that, like, these shareholders at Microsoft and the top brass at Microsoft, the CEO, the CFO, they're like, this isn't work. Like, you can't spend this amount of money and not start to make way more, like, back very quickly. Like, you just can't do it that way. And I think that's where, Phil Spencer basically just had to, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he knew the whole time, but he just had to accept it. And I'm sorry, this rarely ever happens. I'm so engrossed in what I'm saying. I totally missed Corey Landiga's 10 membership gifts. Corey drops a 10 bomb. Sorry about that, bro. I almost completely overlooked that because I'm just so lost in thought here. And just like that, Corey takes us over the 25 mark. He actually takes us to 26 members gifted.
Holy shit.
Love to see it, dude. So this ensures that a little bit later on in the stream, we'll bring Boss in. We'll feed the beast. I know you guys can't wait for that. I know for many of you, it's the highlight of the streams. But Corey, really appreciate that support, man. Let me update this member goal, and we'll continue our conversation. Give me just a moment here. So yeah, we're at 26 now. And here we go. My PC sounds like it's about to take off. It sounds like a PS4 Pro right now for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but maybe I probably have to dust it, to be honest. It doesn't stay that loud. It just, sometimes it gets super loud. It's very reminiscent of a PS4 Pro. Still not as loud as a PS4 Pro, though. But Cypherpunk, I appreciate that super chat. We have Planet Schlorpian here saying, will Xbox fanboys stop being obnoxious, though? Cough, Griffin Gaming, cough. I don't know. I mean, look, if I had to give my best guess, I'm going to say, in the same way that if Microsoft were to come out tomorrow and say, we lost and we failed in the console space and we can't do it anymore. So instead, we're just going to bring gaming to everybody, and we're going to bring all of our games everywhere, even all of our games to PlayStation and Switch. and they did that, and they were like dead serious. Like there's no strings attached. In the same way that there's still going to be some people out there that are like, I don't care, Microsoft, you suck, and I hate you, and I hate your games, and I hate anything that's associated with you. I think there will always be, certain groups of people that it's like the opposite. It's the antithesis, where it's like, no, we're always going to root for Microsoft and be, as you say here, kind of obnoxious, right? And yeah, that has always bothered me because, can fan bases tend to be overly obnoxious at times? Yeah, I think it's a relatively common thing. But my guess is that Microsoft, if you see what's happening with them right now, like they are basically trying to transform Xbox fans, and they're doing it in a really aggressive way by basically dismantling anything that they could really latch onto that would enable them to be obnoxious. For example, Xbox fans or like the really hardcore fans can't use the term exclusivity anymore. I mean, sure, you could maybe make the argument, well, can PlayStation fans use that term anymore either, knowing that all their games are going to PC? And I get that. Maybe that's true. You can't, because they are eventually going to go to PC. But I mean, when it comes to Microsoft, it's really been taken to another level where it's like you really can't use the word exclusive, because it's like, dude, they're literally bragging about bringing their games to PlayStation and how well they're doing. It seems pretty foolish to even attempt to use the word exclusivity when talking about their games, right? And then you take that away, and then look at what happened with the portion of the fan base that latched onto the 12 teraflops, and the power factor. And I don't blame them, dude. Like, look, if you were a hardcore Xbox fan, Microsoft set that up for you. It was an alley-oop, right? Like, they're like, here you go, 12 T-flops, monster console, eats monsters for breakfast, so on and so forth. And they really sold the core fan base on this notion of like, it's about the power and having the most powerful console, and you're going to have the best multi-plat games. And flash forward again, like 3.5 years later, literally nobody at Microsoft even acknowledges the 12 T-flops. There is no mid-gen refresh, and the PS5 Pro is coming this year, and it's going to eat the Series X for breakfast, right? Like it's just, this is sometimes how it goes. And I think that there was this really intensive push internally at Microsoft to rally the fans, to rally the core fans, and to get them to kind of hopefully spread that out to less core fans and more casuals. And it seems like Microsoft just basically woke up one day and was like, this isn't working. Sorry. Like, we're going to do a different thing now, and either you're with us or you're not. That's, I'm telling you, the leaks that happened in February, that was controlled. That was absolutely controlled. Like, that was done purposely to ignite the fan base on fire, and whoever's left, like, and then it's like, oh wait, it's actually not a full-blown fire. It's just a little one. We've contained it. And then, whoever's left at that point, like, okay, these guys are ride or die. You know what I mean? Like, they're really going to stick around. But there were people at that point, like hardcore Xbox fans, that were like, I'm done, bro. Like, this is it, Microsoft. You pissed me off. This is the final straw. And Microsoft's like, whatever, just go buy our games on PlayStation or PC or Switch then. So we'll see. We'll see, Planet Schlorpian, what happens there. We have Josh here with 2 back-to-back super chats. Actually, Josh, it looks like you have 3 super chats, so I'll read them in order. Saying, again, MBG, I don't understand how we're only halfway through the current generation and Microsoft hasn't delivered on barely any of the promises, especially games, but they have the audacity to come out and tell everyone they are working on the next-gen console. Yet, if I watch the last 2 IGN NGCW episodes, it's all about how underwhelming the PS5 is when it comes to next-gen, and I don't see a point in a Pro, and conveniently leave Xbox out, but they're excited for new Xbox hardware. Well, it's as I've said this, and I will continue to say this, Josh, it's because the world is upside down, bro. The world is upside down and ass backwards in the year 2024. I wish I could make it make sense, but there is no making sense of that. But if I try my best, my guess is that it's because Microsoft is leaning in even more so. Oh my God. Boss, stop that. The beast is fucking starved, man. He is out there like ravaging my door. I'm gonna have to let him in a couple minutes because I don't want him to actually destroy something. He's like throwing a tantrum out there, guys. I'll bring him in. I'm gonna read these super chats and read the last piece of information, and we'll bring him in. But if I had to try my best to make sense of it, I think it's because Microsoft, I think they realized that even though it's going to hurt the core Xbox fan base that continued and continues to invest in their ecosystem, it's going to be a very easy message to communicate that we want you to play where you want. Again, it's the nice guy messaging. It's the marketing behind it. It's that Microsoft has the advantage here where by being able to say, we're bringing 4 of our games to competing consoles and we're really trying to expand and we're really trying to get everybody involved in the Xbox brand. It's one of these things where it's like, it makes it very difficult for anybody to call that out. And that's why you see so many people now where like, this is great. This is great for gaming. This is great for gamers. Microsoft knows what's best for gamers. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. If you really think Microsoft knows what's best for the gaming industry, you are, I think you have to be somewhat deluded. It's like, have you not seen what this company has done since the time they entered the gaming industry? I'm not saying they haven't done some good things. They absolutely have. But some of the damaging things they've done, some of the mistakes that they made, granted, Sony's not perfect. Neither is Nintendo. Nobody's perfect here. Nobody's completely innocent. But I think it's safe to say that if there's one major video game platform holder that seemingly just could not get their shit together, no matter how hard they tried, it's Microsoft. Now, granted, if you put it under the lens of, but hold on, would it be detrimental for Microsoft to go full-blown third-party publisher? I mean, realistically, that's probably the least damaging thing they could do. Could it still be damaging? Absolutely. Absolutely. But in the grand scheme, probably the least damaging in the long run. So this is where I think if you have to question, like, why is everybody being so critical of the PS5 console and of Sony, but like so many outlets and so many people are just seemingly totally okay with everything Xbox is doing? It's because Xbox is basically saying, we're tearing down the walls, right? We're tearing down the barriers and we're bringing it to you. So no need to get upset. No need to hate us anymore. Let the, you ever see the, I'm sure you guys have seen that clip, that Michael Jackson clip floating around where he's just, there's like a soldier standing there aiming an M16 at him and he just goes up to it and he just like lowers the gun. I know many of you have seen what I'm talking about. That's basically Microsoft right now, but again, you have to keep in mind, what gave Microsoft the power and the ability to do that? Their money. Their money is what made that possible. And so Microsoft is not just in the process of buying their way to quote unquote, I was going to say victory, but I don't even know that it could be framed as victory. They're buying their way to where they want to be. But part of that is they're also buying their way to goodwill, dude. They're paying for the goodwill. I want to remind people, Microsoft has reached out to me to give me codes for games, dude. It's like, Microsoft, what are you doing? Like, I don't like your game. I've literally said, like, to everybody, I don't like your games. And like, if I had any interest in them, I would have come and played them. And like, that's to me what makes it so weak. It's so desperate. It's like, but we're coming to you. Please play our game. And it's like, this is why I'm telling you, man, it's like the people are not going to be able to be critical of Microsoft because they're playing the role of like, we got fucking destroyed, man. It's over for us. Okay? Like, this is all we can do now. Can you please play our game? Please buy our game. Please play it. Okay? Like, we're not asking you to do anything. And that to me is just like, how did we get here, dude? Like, this isn't competition at all. Like, this is you completely giving up and giving in and saying, we just want to make money and that's all we're here for. And if we have to do anything more than that, we're not gonna focus on it. You know, this is why everything that Microsoft says, because think about it, Josh. What you just said is a great point, dude. Where you're like, how is it that Microsoft literally came out, looked everybody in the eye and said, we're making a next-gen console and it's going to be the biggest technical leap? And you know why people weren't upset about that, seemingly? It's because, dude, the conversation the day before was, holy shit, I think Microsoft is actually getting ready to exit the console market. That's how like bad this has gotten for them, where people are actually relieved to hear of the next generation Xbox. And that to me sucks, dude. And you want to know why? And this is the reality, Josh. This is the reality. You want to know why people are still so critical of Sony when it comes to criticizing the PS5 and wondering like what's Sony doing with the PS5 Pro and what's going on? It's because people still have an expectation of Sony. Think about it. Would anybody give a shit about the PS5 Pro at all? Like, would anybody even care to be critical of the PS5 Pro if there wasn't an expectation? The answer is no, because that's how these things work. There's a difference between somebody saying they don't care and then clearly they care versus somebody actually not caring. The reality is when a market doesn't care, the market ceases to exist. There's no one left standing around to say, I don't care anymore. That's it. They're gone. They've moved on. They've moved to something else. And that's why I think there's basically nothing but kind of like crickets and silence or just very minimal interest in hearing Microsoft come out and say, don't worry, guys, we got a next-gen console and it's going to be the biggest technical leap. Like, who's really hyping that shit up, dude? Who really cares? Like, Microsoft, you just basically told people to go buy a fucking PS5 or a Switch. Why the hell? And you know why Microsoft did it? Because they knew exactly who they were speaking to. They're speaking to the very small, but also still very vocal group of Xbox console users who they will buy that console, dude. They will. It won't matter if it has exclusives. It won't matter if it's I'm not going to say it's irrelevant hardware, but just not really. It shouldn't, like, it's hard to justify this hardware's existence in any way. It's not, like, none of that's going to matter to them. And that is a very small percentage of people. I mean, that market is so small at that point that's why you hardly hear any pushback. Because the only thing you're really going to hear if you listen close enough are a couple of fans still being like, yes, good shit, I'll buy that Xbox console. And I'm not criticizing those fans. I respect it, man. Like, if you want that Xbox console hardware and that matters to you, yeah, I could see why you would be happy that Microsoft is still supporting it. But to me, this is why people are still so critical of the PS5, of the PS5 Pro, of Sony, because Sony is still making it clear that, like, we are still very much in the console space. We're pushing in this space, and we're still going to try. Here's what it boils down to. I've been talking in circles at this point, not the whole time, but specifically with this super chat. What it boils down to is no one cares about what Microsoft has to say about next generation console hardware because Microsoft already came out and said, you don't need to buy our hardware. We will come to you. You don't need to buy our hardware. Therefore, nobody bats an eye when Microsoft says, so let us tell you about our next gen console. Meanwhile, Sony is not doing that. There is still the expectation of Sony is saying, we want you to buy our console. We want you to go buy a PS5, and we want you to go buy a PS5 Pro, and we're going to eventually want you to buy a PlayStation 6. So therefore, people are going to be more critical and be like, okay, Sony, then what do you got? Why should I buy your PS5? Why should I come to you? Especially when Microsoft, look at what they're doing. Microsoft isn't telling me I have to come to them. They're telling me that I can buy their console if I want, but they'll put their stuff out there, right? What about you, Sony? So there is this higher pressure and this higher expectation on PlayStation, but that's the price Sony pays, Josh. You see, that's what makes it so interesting is the price Sony pays by continuing down this path that they've been down since the PS1 was created of console ecosystem, walled off garden, although I guess we could say build the walls when it's convenient, tear the walls down when it's convenient. That's basically what we're looking at right now when it comes to Sony putting their games on PS5 and then eventually porting them to PC. But that is the price that Sony pays. You know, by Sony continuing to take that stance, same with Nintendo of like, no, you're going to come to us. That's our goal, to get you to come to us. It requires a lot of convincing. It requires a big effort, a big push. And, you know, especially now in 2024, when we're seeing more walls and barriers come down at a more rapid rate, it puts more pressure on Sony and Nintendo and anybody else who's doing that, where it's like, you know, you bet. Listen, I know we haven't talked about this very much, but you think Microsoft isn't doing this in the hopes that Sony is like kind of maybe beginning not to sweat, but to like look a little bit closer, like, okay, what's this going to lead to? You know, like, is this like, should we be paying attention to what Microsoft's doing here? Microsoft, they're coming out with this level of confidence that we've never seen before. And that confidence is fueled solely by, like I said, their ability to just throw their fucking money around, dude. You're talking about the same company that went to Notch, the creator of Minecraft, and just said, yo, do you want $2 billion? We want that. $2 billion. You give us that, we'll give you $2 billion. That's how Microsoft operates, dude. That's what they do. That's what they do best. I'm not even criticizing it. I'm just saying that's in their nature. That's what Microsoft does. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it was just always going to go this way, you know, where I had always hoped that Microsoft would continue to be extremely aggressive in the console space, but it just seems like when they kind of came to the conclusion that we can just use our money to get where we need to go, and we could just sidestep this completely. We don't have to compete in that way. I mean, it seems like it was always maybe destined to go this way, unfortunately. And again, for me, it's disappointing because I liked it. I've always liked it better when it's like Sony and Microsoft duking it out, fighting for your money, fighting for the customer base. We want you here, and we're going to win you over. It creates a high expectation. All right. So Josh, really appreciate those super chats, buddy. Hopefully that answers that question a little bit. We also have Josh Z here with a $5 super chat saying Microsoft was always living on borrowed time as a platform holder. The developer talent was always inferior compared to Sony and Nintendo. I do agree with that. I think that, again, even when you look back, way back, you know, with the original Xbox, Microsoft didn't create Halo. You know, they bought Bungie. They kind of swiped Bungie from, I think it was Apple. And it's a smart, again, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a smart move. They made the smarter move that they needed to make in order for the Xbox to even survive. So I don't blame it. But it's just, again, that's why I say it's just kind of in their nature. This is what they've been doing since the start. And it feels like in a way it kind of came full circle, just in a really big roundabout way, right? But I do agree that I just can't help but wonder, in like an alternate timeline, let's say Microsoft did turn it around game development wise during the Xbox One generation, right? Because you're saying like their talent was always like inferior to Sony and Nintendo. And if you look back at the Xbox One gen and even this generation so far, yeah, dude, like they've struggled to create compelling enough games to win people over to their ecosystem. What if it went the other way, right? What if Microsoft did turn it around and they made they made games that were as successful and as enjoyed and as loved as some of Sony and Nintendo's games. What would happen? Do we think Microsoft would be in the same position? The answer, I think it's safe to say, is no. The answer would be no, dude. They'd probably be out here being like, yo, can we hit 100 million consoles sold? Can we hit 120 million? And I guess it's kind of useless to think about that, because it's like, well, it doesn't matter. You know, things happen the way they happen, and this is the outcome. But I am in agreement with you, Josh, ultimately. We also have Supremacy 101 with 2 back-to-back super chats here saying, Vitriol will never end for some reason. I can see Xbox gamers claiming they're PC gamers and big up their rigs, which accounts for 4% of the PC market, which translates to current sales numbers of these console ports, which is to say the PC market isn't as hot as some make it out to be, specifically when you factor where most of those users come from and what specs they run, if they even own a PC in the first place. I am in agreement with you, Supremacy 101, that this idea that the walls and, you know, the closed off ecosystems and walled off gardens and all this stuff coming down, even if it's slowly over time or whether it's quickly or slowly over time, the idea that this is just going to create some kind of unification and peace and love, and it's just going to end the toxicity. It's like, no, it's not, because you're right, man. Like, there's always going to be something that people are going to find to latch onto, to just spew venom and be shitty about. And I think that's what makes it kind of tough, is because I feel like, I don't know, some people interpret like what I'm saying right now, this conversation I'm having with you guys, some people interpret this as very toxic and part of that. And I don't agree. Like, I think we're just kind of talking facts here and just running down the situation and what's going on. Well, you know, I'm throwing my own opinion in there, of course. But yeah, you know, you're speaking to PC specifically. The way people talk about PC has always been a little bit weird to me. Like, I don't have a problem with PC at all. I mean, I never really did. I never really have. It just never appealed to me. And therefore, I never really delved deeply into it. I know more about PC gaming now than I ever have, of course. But I do see some of the behavior of some people online, and they are PC gamers. And again, it's some people, most PC players, just like most console players, not like that. But yeah, it just can be totally ridiculous, where it's like, to them, it seems like, to me, it seems like to them, it's more about the bragging rights and being able to like, yeah, I got this and I got that and I can play it at this and I can play that. It's like, okay, like, cool, I guess, you know, and I still see it today, and I just think it's laughable, where like, I just see people on the internet where they're constantly fighting with each other about like, I get your games, or I'm getting this, and you're not going to have this anymore. And I guess that just comes from maybe the people who act like they need to really hold on to what they have. And it's just like, it just gets pretty old, you know? It does. I think it gets pretty old, but at the same time, it doesn't change. It doesn't change, dude. Like, the vitriol, like you're saying, it will never end for some. And I think that's unfortunate. I mean, don't get me wrong. Is it entertaining? Yeah, to an extent. Does it make conversations more interesting and spicier? Of course. And that's probably why people have those conversations. But I'm more interested in the bigger picture of all of this, you know? It's why, like, you know, I have just embraced the fact that I do look at PlayStation as third party. I mean, I know that some people would argue that, where it's like, well, no, Sony still has exclusives. Like, what about Spider-Man and Bloodborne and stuff? It's like, well, I mean, yeah, on a technical level, if we're splitting hairs, like, we can look at it that way. But I think it's like, the reality is almost all of Sony's games from this point forward are going to eventually end up on PC. It would just be best, in my opinion, to just view it as like they're third party. Are they full third party, as in they support every format and every hardware? No. And I do think that's an important differentiation, especially when you see Microsoft starting to do that. And I think that, again, these are, I think, important differentiations and things that we should absolutely acknowledge, but people get way too toxic about it. It's like PC gamers who make it sound like my PC is an Xbox and a PlayStation in one. And it's like, okay, I get where you're coming from. You're getting PlayStation games, you're getting Xbox games, but it's worth acknowledging, like, at least for the PlayStation side, but you're not getting all the games. And you don't know when you're going to get those games. That's an important thing to bring up in the conversation, not to dunk on people, but just to know what the fuck you're talking about. Because it's like, imagine if you're trying to sell somebody to go buy a PC, go build a $3,000 rig. It'll be the best decision you ever make. You get PlayStation games, you get Xbox games, and you fail to tell them that when it comes to PlayStation games, you might have to wait for like 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 years in some cases. Imagine not telling somebody that who doesn't know, and they have to find that out, and they're like, what the fuck? This is why I'm saying, like, people just need to be more genuine, I think, about these conversations when they're talking about these different aspects, because I think people, they entrench themselves so deeply, you know? They entrench themselves so deeply and like, no, this is the way it is, just to find out that actually it turns out this corporation changed their mind. And what you thought was the way is no longer the way. And I just think people need to kind of be aware of that. That's all. At least try to be more aware of it when they're talking about it. By the way, guys, I'm going to ask once again, hit that like button, okay? They're still fighting, guys. They're still fighting, but you guys are gaining ground. I'll tell you, those of you who are hitting the like button, you are gaining some serious ground. Hit that like button. We have 375 plus people here watching. Let's see if we can get this up to 250 likes. I want to see a big push. 250 likes. Let's do it. I know you can do it. But Supremacy 101, I appreciate the super chats, man. And I do think that I'll say this last thing before I move on to the rest of the chats here. I think when people have these conversations, myself included, there needs to be less like flexing on other people, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of times people talk about stuff in a very arrogant, condescending way, and it just comes off as stupid because it's like, you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like you're a customer and you bought a product. Like, you didn't help create that product. You're not part of that process. Like, the only thing that should matter for you when you're having that conversation is what it means to you and what you think of it. And that's about it. You know? And I think that this is where you see those constant arguments happening online where it's like, the thing that I support is better than the thing you support. It's like, I guess, but that is dead at this point, dude. Like, that's dead. That's been dead. And the reason why it's dead is because these companies, dude, listen, these companies, the truth is, like, they are just laughing, man. They don't give a shit. The only thing that matters to them is like, oh yeah, cool. Are you still giving us your money? You are? Oh, great. Okay. All right, good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, hype. Let's go. Like, that's how this works for the companies, for the corporations. And I don't think that means you can't be excited and really enthusiastic about something you support. If you're enthusiastic about Xbox, if you're enthusiastic about PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, be as enthusiastic as you want. But I just think the whole arguing of it, you know, it's like, give your opinion. You see somebody else's opinion. Maybe you agree with it. Maybe you disagree with it. You let them know you disagree with it. They disagree with your disagreement. And you know what? Best to end it there. Because at that point, no one's winning, bro. You're both consumers who are going to start fighting each other. In the name of what? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are these arguments where I don't see where they end. Maybe they do end, and there's like a PlayStation fan that actually convinces an Xbox fan to be like, go sell your Xbox, bro. And they just converted somebody to PlayStation. I don't know. Maybe that does happen. And we have 18 May coming in, keeping the membership train rolling today. 18 May drops another 5 bomb on you guys. bringing us up to 31 members on the day. 18 May, I really appreciate that. Let me see here.
Say hello to democracy.
There we go. Haven't done the Helldivers one in a little bit.
Thank you.
I'll throw in a thank you as well. Let me add that to the counter. So we're still going strong. 31 members. We are less than 20 away. So we are about a 20 bomb away from hitting 50. We'll see if we end up getting there or not. Is this MBG pacifist? Well, I mean, maybe, but it's like, it's just a matter of like, what is the argument for? Like, everything I'm sitting here saying to you about Xbox today is like, at no point did I like convey to anybody like, and you should leave Xbox and you shouldn't play Xbox or you shouldn't support Xbox. I didn't say any of that. I'm just simply telling you, like, this is what's going on and this is why I think it's happening and this is my evaluation of the situation. And this is my thought. This is my opinion on it. So I don't know. You know how it gets, man. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the crazier it can get, for sure, with this type of stuff. Yeah, Gaming Survivor, exactly. You're saying, MBG, you called out this publisher move last year and the bots got upset. Yeah, I just want to point out, dude, back in November, I think it was like November 28th, I got fucking laughed at. I got clowned on. I got drug across the internet because I talked about how it's a real possibility Microsoft is going to go full third party at some point. And I specifically went on to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time the next Doom comes out, that's going to be ready to go on PlayStation and maybe the next Switch. And dude, they fucking destroyed me for that. And it's like, you know what? Good. I'm glad. I'm absolutely glad that Microsoft is dismantling you people to where you can't be that way anymore because you're being dickheads. Like, straight up. Like, nothing I said was crazy. Nothing I said was outlandish. And in fact, what I said back then is coming to pass, slowly but surely. And it's not about being right, because I don't care about being right. It's about pointing out that these idiots, to them, it's more about pointing the finger and clowning on people than it is even just paying attention to what's actually going on in the fucking industry. That's the biggest problem, is too many of these people are so involved in this meta toxic fucking game of just dunking on one another and one-upping each other to where it's like, you're not even actually paying attention to what's going on in this industry, are you? Because anybody could have seen this coming from a fucking mile away. Anybody. But no, that's not what's important to them. That's not what's important to them. It's all ego-driven, childish nonsense, and that's what I'm trying my best to avoid, because it's just like, come on. To me, that's not interesting. It's like what are we, in high school? I guess maybe some people who are actually, but you know what I mean. Yeah, my copy of Stellar Blade hasn't arrived yet. I got a physical copy coming. I think it may have actually gotten delayed till tomorrow, which I'm trying not to think about, but you know, it's not a big deal. I'll do anything for that physical copy, bro. Hen Revens, you're saying, MBG, since Nintendo isn't a direct competitor to Sony and Microsoft, could you see PS4 games coming to the Switch too if Sony sees Xbox games make a ton on PlayStation and the Switch? Well, see, I don't want to say that Sony will never do anything because I don't know. Don't worry, Corey. We're going to bring Boss in soon, I promise. I'm not going to say whether or not I see for certain Sony moving their games over to other platforms or not. What I will say is I think it's less likely Sony would be willing to bring any of their library to something like the Switch 2, for the fact that I think Sony's more likely to create a console or a console companion that will act as basically a competitor to the Switch, where, hey, here's our portable PlayStation Portable 2. I don't know what they would call it. Maybe it'll be like a companion to the PlayStation 6 or something. And you could play all the PS4 games and most of the PS5 games. You take your PlayStation library with you with this device and it plays them natively. I think it's more likely we will see that than Sony bringing their games to Switch. Again, because Sony still cares about the hardware market, regardless of what anybody tells you. At least right now, they do. Let's see what Sony... Listen, guys, pay very close attention. I mean, we'll talk about it. Trust me, we'll talk about it extensively. I'm so curious to see what Sony has to say to their shareholders on May 14th. I'm dying to know how Sony talks about the console because there are so many question marks. Sony is kind of a mystery right now underneath Hiroki Totoki in the age of Totokism. We don't really know. We've gotten very little insight. But my assumption, I'm playing it conservative, I'm playing it safe. My assumption is that Sony's going to just continue basically down the path that they've been on because it's mostly working, right? Like, other than the fact that their games are getting a little too expensive, other than that, it's pretty much working. You know, I've seen so many people talk about PlayStation, like, man, PlayStation's, they're screwed, man. They don't know what they're doing. They're in the mud. They're bleeding money. They're going to go out of business. And I'm like, I don't think you know what you're talking about at all. You know, like I just don't think you know what you're talking about. Because if you did, you would know that like that's not the situation at all. We have Marcus here, member for 11 months, says, who tries to make a new console if Microsoft doesn't? Google. See, it's an interesting question, Marcus. I think that's the next natural question that pops up. If Microsoft, after the next generation occurs, if they exit the console hardware space, who takes their place? I think the answer is no one, unfortunately. I mean, maybe you could see a company like Amazon, but it's worth noting, Marcus, another reason I don't think Microsoft is actually exiting the console market, even though the writing's on the wall and the Xbox console is no longer a viable competitor, I don't think they're leaving. Because keep in mind, an internal shift that occurred at Microsoft is they replaced, I forget the names of the individuals, but the person who was in charge of like the Xbox hardware and stuff like that, they replaced him with the person internally at Microsoft who is responsible for working with OEM manufacturers, I believe, OEM partners for Windows. So in other words, what we are actually likely to see happen is Microsoft willing to license the Xbox ecosystem in its entirety to anybody out there who wants to make an Xbox console. So conceivably, what you could see, for as insane as this sounds, dude, you could see if Microsoft goes down this path, and it seems like they are, you could see Microsoft license the Xbox ecosystem in its entirety to a company like Google or Amazon, where Amazon produces a console that's called an Xbox console. It has the Xbox store. It has the Xbox ecosystem, but it's for some, like, Amazon's making the hardware, but it's running all of the Xbox stuff. It has all the Xbox games. And essentially what I guess the incentive here is like, well, why would Amazon do this? I think it's basically because it's like, if Amazon's willing to front the bill for the hardware, I mean, there could be like negotiations and deals, but I guess the idea is like, Amazon, you'll get a cut. Like, you make the hardware, and if your hardware sells because of brand power, I mean, hey, an Amazon console, Amazon Xbox console, it's just another vector for Microsoft to sell more of their games. And Amazon, if the numbers make sense for them, they could potentially make money as well. You know, it's a crazy scenario that may play out. I see Supremacy 101 asking if I read the second super chat. Supremacy 101, I'm going to skip ahead here because you said, did you read my second $10 super chat? I must have missed it. If you did, if you haven't, please do so. And thanks for the great show. Well, you're welcome, Supremacy. And I did, but I'll reread it again just since you missed it. You said, which is to say the PC market isn't as hot as some make it out to be, specifically when you factor where most of those users come from and what specs they run, if they even own a PC in the first place. And yeah, just to speak to that for just a moment here, I get what you're saying. You're basically saying that the PC market isn't really the be-all, end-all that some people make it out to be. It's not as massive as some people make it sound. And I think this is true, and I think it's also unfortunate. I think it is bigger. Certainly, it's significantly bigger, but to me, again, when you try to zoom out and really understand the bigger picture, this is why like these companies are talking about reaching not tens of millions, not hundreds of millions, but literally billions of people. It's about reaching billions of people. Hold on one second, guys. We're gonna bring Boss in. We're gonna feed the beast because he's going nuts. All right. Boss has entered. We're going to give him some snacks. Thank you, Boss, so much for being patient and being a good boy. We hit 31 members already today, so let's go. Here we go, Boss. Yes, he's very happy. He was crying at the door, dude. So I was like, I got to let him in. I feel too bad. He was crying. Like this, he's really desperate for those snacks, dude. All right, let's see where we're at. You guys are doing a great job, by the way. I got to say, thank you so much for everybody who's hit the like button so far. You guys are doing a great job. We're definitely pushing back here. It's good to see. Give Boss water. He has water. No worries. I have another super chat here from Shattered Glass 23. He says, power has never mattered. It's always been about the games historically. Microsoft didn't create any of the games they're bragging about. Shaking my head. I know, dude. I know. And that's what I was trying to explain earlier, why it's like, look, I know how toxic these conversations get, but I just have to be totally honest in my view of this. And I think that this is just such a weak flex, man. It is. It's like if you see two bodybuilders on stage, one bodybuilder is on steroids. The other is on synthol, dude. You know? For anybody who understands that. Like, the one that's on steroids, you could say, oh, well, you're still on, you're still juicing, but yeah, it's still very impressive, you know? It still requires a ton of hard work. And then the others just injected synthol into their muscles, and it's like, bro, what the fuck? You know? Like, to me, that's what I see with this. That's what I see when they're bragging about this. It's so just not legitimate, dude. I mean, it is technically, right? Like, it is, because it's like, well, hey, that Microsoft earned their money, bro. They won the market. You know, they're worth trillions of dollars. Like, they can spend that money how they want. Boss wants some fresh air as well. I know, Geronimo. It is. It's all for the shareholders. It's all for the stockholders. It's just such a weak look, but it's hard to argue with it, though, when you think about, okay, but is it unfair? Like, who's to say, who is to say what Microsoft should or shouldn't be able to do with their money, or how they could or should spend their money, you know? And that's what makes it tough. But it's from just a more, I don't know, just kind of outside looking in view, where it's like, I'm sure if I worked at Microsoft and it was my job to keep the shareholders happy, like, yeah, I could understand why those decisions would be made. But that's not what I am. Like, I'm just an onlooker, you know, I'm a consumer and a customer. And I just look at that and I'm like, geez, man, like, this is what it came to? Really? That's why I think it's so funny that Sony found their biggest live service success ever with Helldivers 2. To me, that is the funniest shit ever, because it's like, you see, don't get me wrong, I think Bungie might end up working out for Sony, but after Sony bought Bungie, it just seemed like it was a lot of trouble, a lot of issues with Bungie. And it was like, well, we bought them because we don't really know how to make live service games, and we were afraid of failure, and we want to succeed. And then Bungie seemingly was having their own problems. And then you get this partner that Sony funded that they probably were just kind of not overlooking, but definitely not looking at as like the big live service gold mine. And Helldivers 2 comes out and it's like, holy shit, they did it, you know? I think it's stories like that I think need to serve as a constant reminder that it's not just about the money, man. It's not. Like, money is very important. It is. It's what makes everything go round, right? It's what makes the world go round. But it's like, it's not just about the money at the end of the day. Because what made Helldivers 2 a success is not because it's the most expensive game ever made. You know, Sony probably paid minimal marketing. I think it's clear that Sony didn't put a lot of money in marketing that game. And it was mostly about the development talent, man. It was mostly about the developers basically just saying, like, this is something special to us that we really think could resonate with gamers. And man, were they right. You know, they were right in the, hey, boss, don't make me escort you out of here, bro. Come on, get down. Get down. Get down. He's starting to push his boundaries here. I have the section of the desk blocked off here, but he's doing that thing where he's acting like he's still going to try to make it over here. All right, let's see. We also have Supremacy 101. There was another super chat from you here. $5 super chat. You're saying, oh, you know what? I guess this maybe kind of follows your other super chat. You say here, which is to say that 50 plus million of those users come from China, and to that end, go to the internet cafe to get their fix. The console market is crucial. And you say Microsoft is grooming its users and the media. Simple. It's true. It's true. Supremacy, it's true, dude. Like, I know that sounds like a loaded statement, but you're not wrong. And it's smart on their end. Like, they're trying to win people over, and they're just trying to do so by being the nice guys. Like, hey, you know, like, just, it's okay. It's all good. Like, we're all friends here, right? It's like, okay, I get it. But I don't know, man. Look, I've talked to you guys about having these like connections with video game publishers, and it's always weird to me. This could be my greatest downfall in the end. It might be. And this is why I always express how grateful I am for you guys. You know? I really mean that, because it's like, dude, I see what goes on in this industry, in the influencer circle. And it's like, everybody is just so okay with working with publishers, working with these companies where it's like, I'm sorry, but if you didn't pay money out of your pocket like everybody else and experience this product like the actual real life consumer that has zero connection to a publisher, I can't not see it as tainted. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something is just off here. I'm not saying it can't serve its purpose, but it's another reason why it's like, I don't give a fuck about reviews, dude. Like, I can't, how can I give a shit about reviews? It's like, oh yeah, look at the Stellar Blade reviews. By the way, I got a comment yesterday on my stream, because we talked about Stellar Blade reviews, where somebody was like, oh, yeah, when a PlayStation game gets like an 80 or an 82 on Metacritic, it's a great game. It's an awesome game. When Xbox gets an 80 on a Metacritic, it's a piece of shit. And I'm like, I didn't fucking say that. Like, why are you leaving that comment here? Like, I've never said that. I was like, dude, please point me in the direction where I called an Xbox game that got an 80 something on Metacritic a trash game. Please find that and bring it to me. I'll wait, because you won't, because that doesn't exist. It's like, if you're directing that towards like people who are actually saying that, then direct it towards them, not me. Shit pisses me off. I'm triggered. Damn it. He's definitely talking about Starfield, but I never called Starfield trash, dude. I said the opposite. I straight up, you guys know, and no one will tell you this because they don't give a fuck. But I'll tell you. That's why I'm glad you're here listening. I'll tell you. I was rooting for Starfield. I didn't give a shit about it, but I said, yo, this game's probably going to be huge. Look at it. It's like, to me, it clearly looks like it's going to be like a 9 out of 10 game. You know? Like, it's going to be big. That's what I said. Nobody cared. I mean, some of you guys cared. Meanwhile, Stephen Leon in the fucking chat, it's space trash. Okay. Maybe Stephen, maybe he was talking to you, bro. That's funny. The worst thing I've said about Starfield, by the way, is a couple months after it came out and it became clear that like there were more problems with it than people may have realized. The worst thing I said about it is it just definitely didn't live up to the hype. You know, like it definitely didn't do what it was supposed to do. But I guess that makes me a hater. Anyway, I was just going on this little side tangent here. I don't quite know how I got to this. And I apologize, Supremacy 101, because I feel like it has nothing to do with your super chat, but you somehow got me going in this direction. Where it's just like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with reviewers or people reviewing, but I can't get behind it, man. Like I can't. I can't bring myself. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to work with publishers and just be like, hey guys, let me tell you what I think of this game. Like I just feel like I should be doing it the way you guys are doing it. Like, that just feels right to me, where it's like, you guys are expected to pay $60, $70 a pop for your games, or however much they cost. In the case of Helldivers, like $40. And it's like, that's what I should do too. And I should play it at the same time. And I should just give my thoughts. And I guess I'm just saying, like, I'd much rather, I'm not a review channel. People don't come to me for reviews, but I guess I'm just saying, for me personally, I feel I've always felt more comfortable of just experiencing the games as you guys are experiencing them, and basically just getting together and talking about them like we would if we were just like going out to a bar or to a restaurant or something, just chilling and hanging out and talking about a game that we're playing. You know, to me, that's what I feel most comfortable doing. And again, I have no idea how I got on this topic, but let me keep this train rolling here, this super chat train. You know, now that I said that, Rockstar is going to like reach out to me and be like, yo, you want an early review copy of GTA 6? I'd be like, oh shit. I'll be sweating at that point, bro. Would anybody be mad at me if I took that, by the way? If Rockstar, like a year and from now or something, or a year and a half from now, was like, here, MBG, you want an early review copy of GTA 6? It's like, yo, guys, remember what I said about that thing that one time? Forget that shit. Yeah, I would take that, bro. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's the one. I think I would break my rule for that, because I would be like, holy shit. I would be so fucking scared, though, dude. Like, that. I can't even imagine what it's like to sign a Rockstar NDA. I would be terrified. ACM says I would be mad if you didn't take it. I would be so scared to sign a Rockstar NDA, dude. I'd be like, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm going to get myself in legal trouble. Something's going to go wrong here. I'm going to be playing on my PS5. I'm going to accidentally hit the stream button, not even know I'm live. Yeah, no, that'll never happen, though. Please don't. Capono says, please don't sell out. I thought about this, dude. I will be honest with you. I've thought about this many times, and it's like the idea of selling out. I've seen so many people just say, like, take the bag, man, take the bag. But I've thought about this. I have. And I'm like, I think, you know what I think it comes down to? I think it comes down to, do you enjoy what you do? That's the question that needs to be asked. Do you enjoy what you do? And is there something to it for you? And I think if the answer is yes, you probably should avoid selling out. Because once you sell out, it's not that you can't do the thing anymore, I guess you technically could, but you're likely going to do it in a different scenario under different circumstances, and it just won't be the same anymore. I don't know. I think about that. Like, I think about, like, if Microsoft came to me and was like, MBG, listen, we're willing to cut you a check for $1 million if you delete your YouTube channel. I'd be like, or if you just turn your channel into an Xbox channel, I'd be like, I can't do that, bro. Like, $1 million? Holy shit. Yeah, that would change my life. But it's like, I would be depressed. I'd have $1 million, but I'd be depressed. I'd be so sad, because I'd be like, I could do whatever I want, I guess, for a little bit, but I can't do the one thing I really want to do. You know? That'd be so weird. I don't know. I feel like you see this stuff happen all the time. You know, people create things and then they sell it. Chris Brown says, I'd do it. Tell the chat to get over it. You'd quit gaming for $1 million? Nah, I couldn't do that either. Prince Smith says you're out of your mind. I don't know, man. I guess it's just the way I'm wired. Maybe I am a weirdo, dude. Don't get me wrong. Money is important. Money is important. Like we all need money, and we all prefer to have more of it, not less of it. But I don't know. As I get older, and I don't know. Maybe it's easy for me to say that now because I don't know what it's like to have $1 million. I don't know what it's like to have somebody offer me $1 million. But is it taxed? Is that money taxed or not? But yeah, you're right. You can always start a new channel. I don't know. I guess it just comes down to the more philosophical question of like, how important is money? Is money everything? Is it as important? Is being rich truly the be all end all? I don't know. Sell out for a year, make sure your family is set, then start another YouTube brand. Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. You turn down 100 million. 100 now you're saying $100 million? Okay, now that would get me thinking. $1 million is a lot. You're saying $100 million? Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to be straight up stupid at that point. Stephen Leon says, I'm with you, but money is a slippery slope. Yeah, it is. It's tough. It's tough. Come on, though. You know, like, there are definitely miserable rich people, right? But I remember there was this video I came across not that long ago. I have to see if I can find it again. I don't remember it in its entirety, but what I do remember was this person that was interviewing, like, millionaires and stuff, like really rich people who didn't get rich overnight. Like, they got rich working for like many years, and they just like kind of like they eventually became very successful and wealthy, and they retired. And the person was basically like interviewing them, like asking them how they feel like now that they're older in life, now that they have all this money, they're set. And it seemed like it was a 50-50 thing. It seems like some of them were very happy and satisfied, and others seemed like they had some regrets in some ways. I thought that was very fascinating because I guess maybe maybe it just comes down to the individual. You know, I think everybody will ultimately turn out differently. Like if you gave 10 people $100 million and then you check on them like years later, all 10 of those people are going to be very different and be very different places in their life. Low Cut, you're saying, MBG, why are we talking about Microsoft and Stellar Blade just dropped? Well, if it makes you feel any better, Low Cut, we talked all about Stellar Blade yesterday. And I put out a video prior to that talking about Stellar Blade. And we are going to talk more about Stellar Blade. I just can't say anything more about it because I haven't got my copy yet. I'm waiting for it to arrive. Once I get my copy and I start playing it, we'll be talking more about Stellar Blade. Trust me. I'm excited for it. But Supremacy 101, getting back to your super chats, thank you so much for that, dude. I do appreciate it. And we have Bilal, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. You're saying Xbots, you leave the chat right now or I'll milkify every single one of you. Oh, man, what did I just read? Bilal, what did I just read, bro? So we have some like unhinged chats today, man. We got Planet Schlurpy in here moving right along with a $5 super chat saying, considering how much Sony fights to keep games like FF7 Remake, FF16, Stellar Blade, and Silent Hill 2 off of Xbox, I doubt they'd port games to their platform. Yeah, well, that's another thing that's worth pointing out here, Planet Schlurpy, and getting back on topic, is exactly, like, Sony pays money to lock down exclusives, even if they're timed. That's why I think it's insane that there's so many people running with this notion so quickly. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with considering the notion, but running with it and really making it seem like this is what they're going to do. It's clearly going to happen, making it sound like Sony's going to start porting their games. It's like, that would be a complete 180. That would be a complete 180 total shift and turnaround from the way that they've run their PlayStation business for many, many, many years, pretty much the entire time. And I'm not saying it's not a possibility. Anything is possible. I just don't think it's on the docket right now, necessarily. Not anytime soon. Sean, that's interesting. Yeah. I was thinking that too, Sean. I was thinking how it's like everything is great at first, and then it's just like, and then you just kind of get used to it, you know? Fabrice Paul, member for 8 months, says the richest company beats the expectations. People don't understand they are watching greatness. Fabrice, I can't tell if this is satire or not, bro. You're saying they are probably the greatest company of all time. Well, I'm trying real hard to look. I'm not saying Microsoft is the worst company ever. I don't know. Like, Microsoft does do some good things. Yeah, I won't deny that. They do some good things. I'm using Windows right now. It's like, I'm not going to pretend that Microsoft hasn't had influence in my day-to-day life. They absolutely have. I'm not going to say that there haven't been things I haven't enjoyed from Microsoft, and I'm not going to try to make Microsoft sound like the fucking devil, like they're literally the worst piece of shit thing to exist in the world. No. But I definitely do not agree with what you're saying here, Fabrice, to be honest. Like, I don't view Microsoft as the greatest company of all time. I don't believe I'm watching greatness. I mean, I believe I'm watching a company basically say, fuck it, we're just going to get right to the point, and we don't care who we burn along the way. And if we burn our own fan base, fuck them. You know, like, we're winning in our way. We're getting right to the point. We want more money. We're going to do anything we need to do to get more money. And the reason why we want more money is because we're spending way too much money to make this happen. That's I don't consider that greatness. I consider that watching a company do what they deem truly necessary to save a brand. Yeah, to be honest, like, that's what I see. I mean, is it greed driven? Of course it is, but all of this is. At the end of the day, it's where, you know, we got to be honest with that. It's all greed driven inherently, but to me, that's not greatness. It's just a matter of, like, watching a company do what they have to do. And if they happen to make their way to the top, again, man, it's like, I can't watch a company make their way to the top without evaluating what they did to get there. And so far, what I've seen Microsoft do to make their way up, again, I wouldn't use the term greatness to describe it. I would keep it more, it's a little bit more sterile than that, you know? It's just like, it's necessary. It's necessary. That's the word I would use. I would say what Microsoft is doing right now to make their way to the top, so to speak, they're making the necessary moves to make that happen. Is Sony trying to do the same thing? Yeah. And again, man, like, it's all about the whataboutism, right? What about if Sony had the same amount of money Microsoft did? Would Sony make the same moves? I mean, we could ask those questions all day, but it doesn't matter, because the fact of the matter is Sony doesn't have that type of money. Therefore, we will never know how a multi-trillion-dollar Sony, what would they do? I don't know. Maybe they would do the same thing. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they'd mess up. Even worse, I don't know. The only thing I know is I know what a multi-billion-dollar Sony does. A multi-billion-dollar Sony that's not willing to spend anywhere near that amount of money, because that's like danger zone for them. And so, does that make it easier for me to look at the way Sony's doing things and say, oh, yeah, it seems a little bit more nuanced, and in some cases, I don't know if using the word genuine is the best word to use, but just a little bit more, a little bit more, again, I wouldn't use the word greatness or great, but just a little bit more interesting, and something that doesn't immediately make me feel like, what the fuck, I guess that's the best way I could describe that. We got Planet Schlorpian here saying, MBG, you're the Walter Cronkite of PlayStation. Planet Schlorpian, bro. That's Walter Cronkite of PlayStation. I don't know what to make of that, dude. I don't know what to make of that. Broccoli Rob, a member for 10 months, says, how does or does your opinion shift? I think you're saying I think what you meant to type here is, how does or doesn't your opinion shift if Sony decides to go day and date with their first party games? I mean, my opinion would probably shift slightly, where it's like, if tomorrow Sony announced that they were going day and date with their games, here's what I would say. I mean, obviously we'd have a long extended conversation, right? Say a million things. But generally speaking, my feelings would be, I am a little bit surprised, because like the timing doesn't seem right. I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I would then also say that this doesn't change my feelings on how I am going to play on the console. I bought a PS5. I'm going to buy a PS5 Pro, and I'm going to buy my PS5 games on this console. It does make me concerned a little bit, though. The way I view the console market, I would have more concern about, could this be a bad thing? Like, is this really going to severely hurt console sales? And are we going to see the console start to slowly become less and less relevant? And that, obviously, somebody who cares about the console and plays on the console, I don't want to see that happen. But that's about it. Like, truth be told, that's pretty much it, man. Oh, and there's one other factor to that too. I would also be a little bit worried about the optimization factor, right? Like, one of the things that I feel like PlayStation players have benefited from, in most cases, not every single case, but in most cases, especially from Sony's internal studios, is being able to just polish the shit out of their games and not worry about other versions, so that way they can push the console as far as they can, make it as optimized as possible. Again, not to say that their games are perfect all the time, but I think you get what I'm saying. I would be a little bit more worried about, like, all right, well, if that's like a mandate where it's like, you guys got to have your games ready to go on PC, should we expect more bugs, less optimization, stuff like that? And these are questions that we would have to wait to see and see how they are answered. But that would be my honest reaction to an opinion if Sony were to do that. We have Capono here with a $2 chat saying, small support, wish I could do more at the moment. I appreciate that, Capono. I do. Hey, man, even if it is small support, it's still support, and it means something. So thank you for that, bud. How would I react if Sony shut down tomorrow? I'd lose my shit. I'd be like, what the fuck happened? I mean, I think everybody would be that way. Like, what happened? Did I miss something? Perfect Image says here, Sony's resurgence from PS3 to PS4 dominance highlights their adaptability in gaming, outshining Microsoft, who relies on Sony for game success. I'm in agreement mostly with what you're saying here, Perfect Image. That's one of the things that I think Sony has done that is genuinely respectable. And I think it has garnered a lot of goodwill. And I think that some people are afraid that Sony may have lost some of that goodwill. But what you're highlighting is something that I've taken note of as well, that you got to respect it, Like, Sony fucked up big time. transitioning from the PS2 to the PS3. They made a massive comeback towards the end of the PS3 generation, and they continued that comeback with the PS4, and they really rose to prominence, right? And like you're saying, dominance here. And I think that Microsoft kind of failed to do that. And again, we've seen Phil Spencer maybe kind of blame the fact that it was the digital generation. Sure, that maybe was the worst generation to fuck up in, but that's just the curl of the burl, as they say, right? But yeah, I do respect Sony for that, and if anything, like that's why when people point out like Sony's fucking up or they're losing their way, or that, you know, when people say these things about Sony that are like, they sound pretty bad, I'm not quick to be like, yeah, dude, they're fucking done for. It's over. They're toast. No, because I think, well, hey man, like they've been through the ringer. Like they've been through so much worse. They've done so much worse, and they've come back so much stronger for it. So this is why I have this kind of, people call it over optimism, but there is this optimism I have towards Sony. And I know that to be fair, it's true that the management has changed and there's different people there now, but I still can't help but have, like, I feel like the spirit is still alive of like, don't lose your way, Sony, because just look at your history. Don't forget what happened with the PS3. Don't forget what you had to do to get where you are. You know, and especially when you're trying to get to where you want to go, don't forget that shit. And that's why I'm still so optimistic about, again, the second half of this console generation. I do ultimately feel optimistic that they're going to prove that they didn't forget that. I think they've been proving that they haven't forgotten that. I think they're making changes, but I think there's a lot left for them to say and to do this gen. And I think that that's where they're really going to hopefully shine the brightest. So thank you for that perfect image. We also have Jeff B. Gaming saying MBG Xbox's success is like a sports team that's been losing for years. Then they sign a team of all-stars and make the playoffs as a lower seed. It's not impressive. Yeah, that is exactly what it's like. Where it's like, you know, it's like you got to kind of like respect the rank type thing, where if they make it to the top, you know, they're going to get praise and people are going to acknowledge like, wow, you did it. But there's going to be a lot of people who are paying very close attention to how you did it and kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's nice, but it's kind of weak, you know? It's kind of weak. It's, again, it's like you take two individuals and you put them under a bench press, you know, or you make them do squats, and they're both doing a heavy ass amount of weight, you know, 500-pound squats or some shit. And you get one guy, they both do 10 reps. The guy on the left does perfect reps, all 10, perfect execution, perfect form. The guy on the right, after like 4 or 5 reps, he's basically doing cheat reps, throwing the weight around, you know, terrible form for the last 5. It's like, who, you know, like, is it impressive that you did 10 reps? Yeah, but it's like, it's much more impressive and respectable, like what the other guy just did. They just did 10 reps, perfect form, you know? It's kind of like that. Do some dumbbell curls. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys some reps at the end of the stream. Do 20 reps. I could probably do 20 reps. I feel like I'm a little bit weakened right now, though, to be honest, after being sick. It's another reason I hate being sick. I always feel a little bit weaker after. By the way, guys, MBG is the guy on the right. Probably. Yeah. I don't know. My squat, I don't lift really heavy with squats. I don't, but my form, I like to think my form is very good. I always do deep squats, man. I go, you know, past the knee. I do ass to grass squats. I don't do half squats or anything like that. Although my left knee these days, not sure what's going on with it, but Jeff B. Gaming, I appreciate that super chat, buddy. And guys, I appreciate all the support. Listen, we still have over 300 people here watching. hit that like button for me. You guys are crushing it today. Seriously, we are almost at 300 likes. I have to give a big thank you to everybody who's been helping the stream. We are now sitting at 89%. We are 1% away from being 90% like to dislike ratio. You guys are pushing back. You're making it clear. You're making it known that you're not going to let the bullshit win today. Thank you so much for that, guys. I do have one other report here in regards to Microsoft's earnings. I probably should have read this earlier, but it's not a huge deal. I did kind of talk about it and allude to it, but it's actually a write-up from IGN, and IGN is currently getting clowned on for this write-up. And so we'll read it, and we'll determine if we agree or disagree. And oh my God, the amount of ads. Holy shit. Sorry if there's any kind of stuttering or anything. There's just so many ads exploding on this page. Really? Shems, you're saying that Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment are already 30% off the PSN sale? Interesting. Are you? Dude, you're saying your glutes shouldn't go below your knees when you squat unless you want knee surgery. That's not what I've heard. Everything I've heard said that, I've heard that you got to be careful because it does put more pressure on your knees. And again, that's why I don't lift heavy when I do squats. But I've heard that it's in order, that's to get that full range of motion. It's actually as long as you're doing proper form, it's very good for you. It is actually good for your knees and your muscles and everything. I don't know. I have to do more. Maybe I'll have to do more research into that. But that's what I remember reading and hearing. And I feel like that's naturally how you would squat too, right? Like if you think about it, think about doing natural squats without any weight. Like you're just gonna squat. I feel like the more natural way of doing it is to go all the way down. Like you're just naturally gonna want to go all the way down and all the way up. I feel like stopping halfway is a little bit more unnatural. At least to me, it always felt like that. But I'm a shorter guy too, so I'm not really tall, and I know that doing deep squats when you're shorter is actually a little bit easier. So maybe it's because of that. Anyway, let's read this article from IGN. Yeah, exactly, Hanzo. Exactly. All right, so it says here, Xbox gaming segment gets another boost thanks to Activision Blizzard. Gaming revenue was way up this quarter. Or was it? IGN always trying to cause the drama. Or was it? Microsoft's gaming revenue climbed significantly year over year according to its Q3 earnings report, but the massive jump in takings is deceptive. Holy shit, they're not holding back. They're saying it's deceptive, bro. Microsoft is deceiving us. Most of it is just reflective of the addition of Activision Blizzard and King. For the third quarter of fiscal year 2024, Microsoft reported gaming revenue up 51% year over year, or $1.8 billion, to a total of $5.45 billion. It's a record Q3 for the segment, but it comes with a caveat. 55 points of that net impact were from Activision Blizzard, the Activision Blizzard acquisition, meaning that Xbox content and services revenue not related to Activision was actually down 4% year over year. We saw a similar situation last quarter too, and we'll almost certainly see it again in the next two. Xbox content and services revenue is in a similar boat. It's up 62% year over year, but with 61 points of net impact from Activision Blizzard, meaning it's up only 1%. And hardware revenue, which wasn't touched by the acquisition, is down 31%, which we already talked about. It says there are a number of other nuggets in Microsoft's 10Q that highlight how Activision Blizzard is impacting the gaming division and the company as a whole. Operating expenses, for instance, were up $1.3 billion or 41% year over year. For the more personal computing division, of which gaming is a part, last quarter, 43 points of which came from the acquisition. And research and development expenses in particular are up $669 million to be precise. That's up 10% year over year for PC last quarter. Blah, blah, blah. So it says here, it's expensive to buy another big company even beyond the $69 billion billion Microsoft paid for it in the first place. The real value of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft will ultimately remain to be seen in the coming years when we can look at the gaming revenue in the future quarters compared to this one and see if Xbox was able to capitalize on the expensive purchase. There's an update here, by the way. It says in the earnings call today, Xbox projected a very similar quarter ahead with gaming sales growth in the low to mid 40s for Q4, with around 50 points of net impact from Activision Blizzard. Similarly, Xbox content and services is expected to be in the high 50s, with around 60 points of net impact from ABK, and hardware is once again expected to decline. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about the way IGN is talking about this and framing it? Again, I saw that they were getting clowned on Twitter, at least. I mean, it's kind of funny, like they're breaking records deceptively. I mean, I get where they're coming from. They're not like on the most technical level, they're not wrong, but at the same time, it's like this is the situation where Activision Blizzard is Microsoft now, dude. Like they bought them and they own them. So their success is Xbox's success now. And there's just no way around that. But I mean, it is, here's what's interesting to me. This is the most interesting thing to me. The part where it highlights that if it wasn't for Activision Blizzard, the Xbox division would only be up a total of 1% year over year. That to me is interesting because what that reveals is that, yeah, like you could see why they did this, dude. Like they saw what was coming. They knew that, man, we're not going to be able to maintain growth as it is. Like we need to go buy somebody. That like we just have to do it, and that to me was the most interesting part or revelation here. You thinking the more Microsoft succeeds, the more Xbox fails. I guess. Well, again, it depends on what you consider success versus failure. All right. Let me go check something real quick here. Actually, I got another super chat here from Laman. He says, Sony never should have bought Bungie. Your thoughts? I mean, I've been feeling that way for a little while. I will say this, though, Laman. Bungie might be poised to make a comeback, dude. I'm not even a Bungie fan, but it sounds like they are actually turning it around with their new with their last expansion for Destiny. Like I've seen so much positivity. And so I mean, again, for the past like year and a half, I've been feeling that way, that maybe they should have never bought Bungie. But if Bungie can make the comeback and they can turn the L into a W, it'll be hard to look at it that way. If Bungie can justify the purchase, it'll be hard to look at it as a bad purchase. So we'll see. I'm quite surprised, in all honesty, to see how much positivity has come out towards this new expansion and how Bungie is seemingly maybe about to pull it off. Like they might be about to pull off the comeback, which would be cool. It'd be pretty unexpected. Although I will say, long-time Bungie fans have been telling me that this is kind of how Bungie operates, that they actually do best when their back is against the wall. So maybe this is kind of par for the course, all things considered. All right. Let's see where we're at here. Well, I should probably give some concluding thoughts here, conclusive thoughts based on this conversation we had. I'm sorry, I'm just getting all caught up in something here. Okay, so let me just give some conclusive thoughts here on today's topic. Microsoft is achieving new heights financially in gaming. They're reaching new heights, but they had to pay to do this. And it's working for now. We are going to have to wait to see as time moves forward. It's going to be a while before we know for sure. In the same way that we're still waiting to see with Bungie and Sony, it's going to be a while to know for sure if this is going to be an investment that pays off in the end. Or if it's, boss, bro, you can't go up there. Or if it's going to be something that, could ultimately be a mistake, because there's a lot, there's still a lot for Microsoft to lose. That's the reality. For as up as they are right now, and I'm not trying to be negative. It's just the reality of it is they have all of these studios, they have all of this IP, they have all of these live service games, and that's great. They need all of this right now in order to continue to climb that ladder. We never know what's going to happen. We don't know what the future of Call of Duty looks like. We don't know what the future of Activision Blizzard as a whole looks like, what their future games look like. We don't know what the future of Bethesda looks like. It's a lot of unknowns and a lot of what ifs that lie ahead. But the reality is Microsoft got what they sought after now. They're reaping the benefits right now. Xbox was pretty much on the ropes. Their business was struggling. The Game Pass model wasn't doing it for them. The Xbox console was struggling. They made the necessary investments. And now because of that, they can come out on a day like yesterday and say, hey, our Xbox consoles have reached an all-time low during a peak year of minus 31%. But it's okay, because look at how we're the biggest publisher on PlayStation. Absolutely wild times. I just want to again emphasize and remind people in my conclusion here, this has all happened in a matter of 6 months, 5 to 6 months, about half a year. This entire 180 has occurred. And I think it's just the beginning. And so what implications this will have on Microsoft as a whole in the long run, we'll find out together. The implications that this has on Sony in the long run, still relatively unknown. However, what I do feel confident in saying is the implications this is going to have on the console market in the long run is not ideal. I don't think this version of Microsoft is the ideal version that people who want to see competition, especially intense competition in the console market, I don't think this is the ideal version of Microsoft that we would like to see. Now, if you're somebody who believes that consoles are pretty much dead and done, or they're old news now and they're on their way out and you don't really care, then it's irrelevant to you. You probably don't care at all that Microsoft is doing this. And that's fine. I'm not here to say that you should care. I can only speak for myself and like-minded people, I guess. And I think it's a little bit disappointing. I do. I don't necessarily get joy out of writing a title like this and talking about this, because it really does feel like the competition has almost completely died down. Now, at the very least, and this maybe speaks to the questions that people were asking earlier about the vitriol and the conversations. Well, I think we do need to determine a difference here, where there's a difference between being toxic and being nasty towards people and being rude when talking about the competitive nature of PlayStation studios and Xbox game studios, or even just talking from a more competitive standpoint about any major video game publisher, right? I think at the very least, it will be nice that we can speak about both PlayStation studios and Xbox game studios from just a simple game output standpoint and compare the quality, compare and contrast the quality and what they're doing differently and who we think is doing it better, the similarities, the differences. Like I said, all that stuff, I think that will continue to exist. But will that conversation continue to feed into the wider conversation of platform ecosystems? I don't think so, or at least minimally. And again, I just don't think it's great news for the console. I think it's great news for Microsoft shareholders. I think it's great news for anybody who wants to see Microsoft make more money and revenue. And it could ultimately be good news for PlayStation fans if you don't care too much about the console competition and you're just excited about the notion of getting more Xbox games on PlayStation. That is one other thing that I didn't talk about too much that I will put here in the conclusion. It's that I think if there's one major takeaway, well, I think there are multiple major takeaways from this, but another major takeaway is this has to seemingly confirm we are going to see a lot more Xbox games make their way to PlayStation in the coming months and the coming years. I just don't see a reality going forward where Microsoft CEO is bragging about being the biggest publisher on PlayStation, bragging about putting 4 of their games on in the last couple of months, to then just turn and say, and we're not doing that anymore. I think it's the opposite. I think this is the beginning of them getting their shareholders excited and potentially getting some players excited that, yep, we're going to be bringing more. And, could we, in a more positive light, see Microsoft thread this needle where they can have it all, where they can be a major third-party publisher, they can have all these successful live service games, they can bring their single-player games to other platforms, and they can still sell a healthy amount of consoles? Right now, I'm not feeling confident in that. I want to say no, probably not. I want to say that everything that Microsoft is doing right now that's bringing them financial success, I do unfortunately feel like it is coming at the cost of the console and of the console fan base. And I just don't think that there's anything that can be done about that because they've already made that decision. It is disappointing to me, but maybe that is the future. I'm not here to say what the future is or what it will be. I can only say that I hope the console remains relevant in the future, even if it remains niche or becomes more niche. My ultimate hope here is that the console doesn't just kind of start to... I hope this isn't the beginning of the end. I think it is the beginning of the end for the Xbox console, but I hope that it doesn't have a wider implication of and it turns out that in the next 5 to 8 to 10 years, consoles are really just going to go by the wayside, and even Sony's going to have no choice but to, go in that direction as well. That would be very disappointing, but as usual, we will have to continue to wait, watch, evaluate, and see what happens. So that pretty much concludes our conversation today, guys. And I probably should let you know, you're probably wondering, oh, so it's just one topic today. I said this at the beginning of the stream. I think I have a lot of different viewers here now that weren't here earlier. So I'll use this as another opportunity to let you guys know what's going on the channel. So my goal going forward, we'll see if I can achieve it. There are going to be 3 pieces of content 5 to 6 days a week. 1 stream, 1 video, and 1 short. One of the things that I'm striving for, and again, this could change or it could fluctuate. Every day is going to have a single focal point, like a single main topic of discussion. I feel like it's becoming less and less... it's making less and less sense for me to just kind of throw a bunch of random topics together. Not to say that we won't cover other topics, again, on streams. We still can do that. But this is what I'm... By the way, I also want to say this too. If you are worried about, having content overload or spam, if you're subscribed to me, you're not going to see the short. Just a heads up. If you want to watch the shorts that I put out, you're going to have to if you're subscribed to me, you're going to have to click the shorts tab to watch them. The reason for this is because I don't want to blow people's feeds up, and have 3 or 4 pieces of content shoved in your face. You should just see a stream and a video, and that's it. And the shorts are going to go out there basically into shortland without being on your actual feed. That's an option that YouTube allows, which is very nice. So it basically means I can spam as many shorts as I want, and you'll never know unless you look for it. Wait, why is this terrible news? IP Gamer, you're talking about me? I hope not. I think this is good. I think this will be really good for the channel. I'm feeling good about it. It's because, again, I'm trying to, hopefully, I don't know if I can make everyone happy, but I'm going to try to thread that needle myself. Like I said, where people who like streams, and so if anybody's confused, I'm not cutting back content, by the way. This is the opposite of that. I will be streaming, again, 5 to 6 days a week. Like, there will be nearly a daily stream. Same thing with videos, though. That's the thing. So, like, for example, today, once this stream is done, I'm going to release a video. It's a short video, but it's going to cover this topic for people who didn't want to get the info on the stream, to make those people happy. And there will be a short as well that releases. So this is kind of what I'm hoping to achieve going forward. Again, I know it's going to be a little bit different, but not really that different. Like if you're, I guess just because I'm speaking to people who are watching the stream right now, if you're here for the streams, pretty much nothing is changing for you. That's the point. You know, that's important for me to let you guys know. If you are here for the streams and you like the long form content and you like the streams, this should be good news to you, because we will have more streams and they will be a little bit more focused as well. So just wanted to throw that out there. Paul, you're saying you have returned, and so has Boss. Yeah, Boss is here now. The road to 100K. Yeah, I would like to get to 100K. I do. I got to get back on the grind. I got to try my best anyway. Although I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't know what's going to happen. Channel growth has not been great or ideal the past 2 months. And to be fair, I haven't really tried to mitigate it that much either. I've just kind of let it be as it's going to be. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, Neo. Yeah, that's basically it. I want to check off all 3 boxes. Every day that I'm producing content, I'm going to try my best. Like I said, I want to check off all 3 boxes and just give the channel and the community the best chance I can to be able to hopefully thrive. We're going third party, boys. No. That's funny. Chris Brown, you're saying, don't you have a good PC? MBG, I'm surprised you don't game on it. Yeah, I don't know. I mainly just use my PC for this. You know, I like gaming on my PlayStation, bro. I do. That's the thing. I'm not against PC. It's just I like console gaming. I always have. That's what I grew up with. Come on, boss. MBG is a true Totokist at heart. That's just, I love it. A true Totokist. That's something about that sounds kind of wrong though. A Totokist. It almost sounds like, God. It sounds like, hey, you can't go up there, boy. You gotta learn, boss. You gotta learn. You can't go up there like that. Laurent says hi, boss. He's like, can you leave me alone? I'm trying to lick this curtain here. Oh, by the way, guys, did anybody happen to notice that Slime Rancher 2 is officially making its way to PlayStation in June? Now, I know what you're thinking, MBG, why the hell are you talking about Slime Rancher 2? Mrs. MBG is hype. Slime Rancher is one of Mrs. MBG's favorite games, and she was pretty upset when it was announced that it was Slime Rancher 2, I think, was available in early access on Xbox, but it wasn't available on PlayStation yet. And now it's finally coming. So who knows, in the future, we're going to have a Mrs. MBG Slime Rancher 2 gameplay stream? Is that going to be on the docket? I guess we'll find out. We will find out. Mrs. MBG played the long game. Yeah. Yeah, for anybody who's a channel member, by the way, because I know that there are some people who maybe aren't, like, they haven't gone back and looked at all of the member content. There is a members exclusive gameplay video I recorded of me and Mrs. MBG and a couple of friends playing Dead by Daylight. It's the only video of its kind on the channel. So if you are a channel member, go look for that. It's out there here on the channel. You can go check that out. Gaming Survivor says that look at MBG's eyes during DBD playthroughs. I know. I get a little bit crazy when I play as the killer. People get a little bit worried about me. They're like, "Bro, are you okay?" I'm just like, "I'm fine, man. I just got to kill," you know? Like, I get a little bit crazy. I don't know why I did that with my eyes, but, you know. I love it when I see new people entering the stream in the chat as soon as I do that with my face. Like, that's the first thing they see when they come in. Why is MBG doing that to his face, bro? What's going on? Is he okay? Did he really snap this time? I saw that, Chris. Yeah. You're saying a voice actor for Gears of War said they might reveal a new one in June. I think it's safe to say that's going to happen. A Gears collection for PlayStation? Yeah, that would be really interesting. I would love to see the reaction, like the collective reaction, if there's like some kind of Gears collection announced for PlayStation. I think it would do well. Out of all the games that I've seen PlayStation fans kind of hype up from Xbox, like possibly coming to the platform, I think Gears is the one that seems to garner the most excitement and interest. And Perfect Image with another super chat here says, how does a visual/audio company outperform Microsoft in gaming, even as Microsoft relies on Sony for game success? Yeah, I don't know, Perfect Image. I just think something fundamentally along the way. My guess, like when I look back at the history of PlayStation and Xbox, the thing that I've noticed is that somewhere along the way, Sony figured something out that Microsoft never did. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's from a studio management perspective, from a talent management perspective. Well, bro, you can't come on my desk. Like, you can't walk on my desk. I know. He's really begging right now, dude. Somebody's got to drop a 20 bomb right now. Boss is demanding another 20 bomb for more snacks. I'm just kidding. You could drop a 20 bomb if you want, but I'm just kidding. I'm not going to withhold the snacks. Bro, all right, look. Come on. You just be patient. Be patient, boss. But yeah, Perfect Image, that's my guess, man, is that somewhere along the way, Microsoft didn't figure it out. Like, they didn't figure out the secret sauce behind studio management, talent retention, you know? And Sony did figure something out. Dude, you're gonna fall. All right. You left me no choice, boss. Back up. That's too much, and I want to fatten you up too much there. That cat is a snack head. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. You know it. Paul, you're saying hiring contract workers for 18 months didn't work out for 343. Who would have known? Yeah, see, it's stuff like that that tells me that they just didn't really know what they were doing in some instances, because that to me sounds like a recipe for disaster. Look, I'm not saying I could do a better job. I'm just analyzing and evaluating where it's like at some point along the way, I think it was during the 360 era, to be honest. I think what happened was during the 360 era, Microsoft was finding great success, but most of their success was also due to Sony's failure. The fact that Sony kind of sacked themselves, and Microsoft was able to score all these deals with like Call of Duty at the time and everything, and their console just really kind of sold itself. And they did have exclusives, but it's not like they were going crazy with the exclusives. And I think what happened is Sony had to learn something during that time, like collectively. Like Sony had to learn the hard way. Okay, we basically just nearly killed our brand after being on top of the world. How do we get back to that? And I think that they just learned that it requires an insane amount of dedication and hard work when it comes to game production, rallying the fans, and just truly putting everything you have behind the product once again, and putting the player first. And of course, I think they've lost their way a little bit since then, just a little bit, not too much. But I think during that time, like Microsoft was just kind of enjoying, the success. And I think the success got to Microsoft's head with the Xbox One, where they were like, we can go beyond a gaming console. We can be at the center of everybody's living room with the Kinect. And I think that's when I think during the Xbox One generation is when Microsoft was supposed to learn what Sony learned, but they never did. And so here we are. It's a good question, though. All right, guys, listen, we're at the 2.5 hour mark of the stream. I did finish up with the main topic of discussion. I do owe you guys some reps, okay? Yesterday, we hit 150 members, and I wasn't able to do any reps for you guys because, well, I was feeling too sick. But I'm going to do some reps for you guys today. We'll do a couple sets. Nothing too crazy, but I owe you that. All right, so this will be basically a last call for any membership gifts if you want to drop some. We're sitting at 31 on the day, which is awesome. Thank you guys for that. I know not everybody enjoys when we reach this section of the stream when we do the reps. So if you happen to leave, just do me one other favor if you haven't already and hit that like button. And we'll play some. What do you guys want? You want the Metal Gear theme? We'll do a couple of curls or some shoulder presses. We'll do something as a thank you. Who's going to lift with me? Laurent's hype. Laurent's hyped up, man. Corey has to make the call. I don't know if Corey's here right now. Corey's going to miss the reps, bro. No. Corey, come back. No, it's all good. I'll probably see it later if he misses it. All right. Let me cue this up. And as I say that, Laurent comes in. Laurent's super hyped. Laurent's so hyped for the reps, he drops 5 more membership gifts for you guys. Laurent, thank you so much for that, bro. Good stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Laurent just brought us up to 36 members on the day. So, guys, we are now less than 15 away from hitting 50. We could do it if you guys want, but I got to do some reps. By the way, before I do this, have you guys seen these streams that people do? They're like NPC streams. It's like a whole genre now of streaming. Have you guys heard of this? It's like some of the most insane shit I've ever witnessed. It's very interesting. Like one of the things I've seen pop up on Twitter a couple of times are like NPC characters like breaking character. If you don't know what they are, go look it up. It's pretty funny. It's so bizarre. It really is. It's so strange. All right, let's see. What music should we play? I'm going to save the Metal Gear theme for when Corey's back here again. All right. I want to make sure it's not going to be blasting in your ears either. I got to... Is this one good? Pretty intense. All right, we'll do some reps. Let's go. I'm going to do another set for you guys, but got to give a little, a little breather here. So I did the curls with 30s, and then I just did the shoulder raises with 15s. Not going too crazy. If I get a... It's a little... Let me check. I'm curious to see where we are with the likes and dislikes. God, we're so close, man. Too many people coming in and disliking the stream. I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand why, but did I really say anything that bad? I don't think so. No, there's not. So, no members lounge today. I'm basically going to start fresh next week with the members lounges. Hopefully you guys understand. I'm trying to get my shit straight. I'm telling you, these past 2 months, man, too much stuff going on every week. And I'm hoping, like, I'm really hoping that things start to kind of turn a corner starting today. Steven Leon comes in and drops a 20 bomb on you guys. Another 20 bomb from Steven. I need to see W's flowing in the chat. I just scared boss with that. Steven, dude, thank you so much, man. He just took us past the 50 mark. Just like that. Steven takes us to 56 members on the day. Steven's been dropping a lot of 20 bombs, man. Really, really appreciate that support. Thank you for supporting the community in such a big way, dude. Wait, guys, why is MBG working out in the middle of the stream? Does anyone know? I've decided to convert my channel to a workout channel, bro. Sorry. What's that? You came in here to hear me talk about PlayStation and Xbox and stuff? Nah, dude. I'm here to pump iron. Nah, it's just something I do at the end of the streams when we hit member goals. We hit 150 members yesterday, and today we just hit 56 thanks to Steven's 20 bomb. So I'm just doing a couple reps towards the end. It's my way of keeping the spirit of the channel alive. Muscle-bound gamer, you know? Gotta be muscle... Well, I don't know if I'm necessarily that muscle-bound, but I'm striving for it. You know? Alright, let me change the track one more time, and we'll do a couple more reps here. Yeah, we're 10 away now from hitting the coveted 66. Steven, you're saying... Gotta go tax return and wife. You got some good money just this month. Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. You know, it means a lot that you're choosing to send some of that this way to support the channel and the community. It's awesome to be able to do this, man. All right, let's get a couple more reps in here. You guys like those boss curls? I got like 3 boss curls in before he was like, fuck this, bro. Oh, man. Yeah, I could tell. All the creatine already left my system, man. I had to stop taking the creatine for like a week while I was sick. I just couldn't bring myself to keep taking it. Bro was using his cat as gym equipment. It was always going to happen. Wasn't a matter of if, just a matter of when. I don't think Boss quite realized what was happening in that moment. Took him a couple seconds. I should slow down the eccentric for more gains. Cut the reps down. Yeah. You're probably right. It's hard. I just feel like when I'm doing it on stream though, like I feel like I gotta go for the higher repetitions. You know? Don't want to seem like a bitch. Like, bro, what? You only did 12 reps? I'm doing that ego lifting. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. In all seriousness, I do hope that I inspire some people a little bit to maybe exercise and work out, you know. It's hard. It's hard to find the motivation. Believe me, I know. But when I started this channel, I came up with the name Muscle Bound Gamer. I think I was a little bit more muscular back. I don't know. I was more lean back then. Like I had less body fat, so I was a little bit more cut. But I think it made me look more muscular than I look now. I weigh more now, and I do have more muscle mass overall, but I'm not as cut. But either way, you know, it's cool to be able to do this. Yeah, it's not good, the ego lift. Saying no need to peacock to us, bro. Most of us lift. I'm gonna start doing some push-ups soon. I want to build up my my push-up endurance. I started doing a bunch of push-ups like a week ago. Started doing them every day before I got sick. And I want to build back up. I think I was doing like 3 or 4 sets of like 30 to 35 push-ups. I could probably go beyond 35 push-ups. I could probably go to 40, probably even 50 if I really push it. Like just in one set. But I try to break them up in different sets. But let's see where we're at, guys. Let's see. Going to cut the music here. Okay, so we are at the 2 hour and 48 minute mark. I'll let it go for like 2 or 3 more minutes so we can just chat. Keep it a little bit shorter today. That's another thing too. If I'm going to be doing these more focused but more frequent streams daily or near daily, I'm going to try to like keep them a little bit more concise. I mean, you know, streaming for nearly 3 hours is still long, I think, for most people. I think for most people, an hour and a half is a long stream. I'm going to have a whole gym set up in my room in 2 to 3 months. Probably not. I do have it, believe it or not. I don't know if you could see it. There's a bench behind the sofa there. You probably can see it a little bit. It's sticking out. I usually move that out when I want to do any, you know, any exercises that require a bench. I feel like push-ups are underrated, dude. They are. Push-ups are one of the best exercises all around. Maybe not like the absolute best for pure muscle growth, but it'll build muscle though, for sure. You can't really argue with a push-up, you know? Just like a pull-up. Pull-ups are great. I want to get a pull-up bar. Don't know if I would do those on stream though, but Chris Brown says a family member of mine passed this week, and our family has gotten together. And I've never eaten so much food in my life. Definitely need to work out hard this month. LOL. Yeah, no, I hear you, dude. I had those moments as well where I just overeat, overindulge, take it way too far. I'm like right now, I have like belly fat that I need to get rid of. I feel like love handles are real bad. Not definitely not feeling great about it, but I know it's from too much junk food. How far am I in Rise of the Ronin? I think I'm very close to beating it. I think I have to be like the very end now. Yeah, I know that with the pull-up bars, yeah, they can be dangerous. You got to be careful. Bust your ass real bad. Melbuster, you're saying you're trying to get dumbbells. You'd rather build muscle with dumbbells. It's easier than push-ups. Obviously I have a lot of dumbbells too. I have an easy curl bar downstairs in the basement. I've thought about bringing that up. I'm really afraid I'm going to destroy something in here with it though. I'd say try to do both. Do some push-ups, do some dumbbell work. Try to get as much in there as you can. You bought Call of Duty Ghosts the other day for the first time and had to say it's actually a fun game. I played Call of Duty Ghosts when it came out. It was pretty good. Yeah. It wasn't the best, but I think people made it sound like Ghosts was like completely trash. And I'm like, well, look, it certainly is far from the best Call of Duty, but it wasn't like unplayable garbage. It was okay. It was all right. JJ2 Sad, you're saying, MBG, can you retweet the Stellar Blade censorship pushback by Grums? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I mean, maybe if you elaborate. I'm probably not going to retweet it. I don't really use my Twitter anymore. I certainly don't retweet things. I might go back to, I don't know. I'm pretty content not being on Twitter. I don't know. I hope that people who follow me on Twitter that are like realizing I'm not posting anymore, I hope they kind of realize that I have this YouTube channel here that I'm active on like every day. That's all. Because I do feel bad that some people genuinely were following me to maybe hear what I have to say through Twitter, but it's just not worth it. Before I go, what games am I currently playing? Right now, the only game, Rise of the Ronin. Still playing some Dead by Daylight at night. And Stellar Blade. I'm waiting for Stellar Blade to arrive. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ghost did release alongside Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is really fun. I really enjoyed Battlefield 4. Rudy says COD Ghost is terrible. I don't know. Maybe I'm not remembering everything correctly. I thought it was okay, dude. Like listen, I enjoyed Call of Duty Ghosts better than when they did stuff like Advanced Warfare and all the jetpack shit, you know, to kind of copy Titanfall. I still thought it was better than that. Laurent, you're saying it's been a while for you with Twitter as well. Yeah. I just can't do it anymore, dude. I can't. I mean, I still go on Twitter, but I don't stay on very long. And it usually takes approximately, I'm not exaggerating, when I log on to Twitter, it takes approximately 20 to 30 seconds before something pops up where I'm just like, yep, I'm out. I don't even know why I'm on here. Like, this is just a garbage website, bro. There's nothing for me here. I think I always just go back to it, though, like, to check Twitter, just in case. Because, like, Twitter is, like, for me, is, like, the first place where I'm going to learn of something big happening, you know? So every time, it's basically like playing a slot machine or some shit. Like, every time I click the Twitter logo or the X icon, I'm, like, basically sitting there like, all right, did something happen? And it's like, no, nothing happened. Okay, I'm out. The advanced fish AI. Yeah, that Call of Duty Ghost advanced fish AI, bro. Haven't seen anything like it since. You have too many games to play? Yeah. Not a bad problem to have, though, right? Yeah. I agree, Laurent. Nate, you're heading out? Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go to the 3-hour mark. I'm gonna end it at exactly 3 hours. Solid 3-hour stream on a Friday. And again, I am gonna have a video going out and a short, probably at 4 o'clock. 4 p.m. Eastern time, so about an hour after the stream ends. Saying the game was censored outfits, gore and more. All that after saying it won't be censored. There's a pretty big campaign on Twitter asking to revert the changes. I haven't heard about this. Stellar Blade petition started by Grums. This is really going to piss off some wokies. Oh my God, wokies. What a strange word. Especially those who say, hold on, I can't. It's not a good look here. Here's some screenshots. Same outfit. Censored. Looking like Sony made them change it more than the hard art. Wait. Oh, because there's like slightly less cleavage, I guess. I'm trying to see if there's big oof. I'm confused right now, dude. What was censored? I'm seeing these outfits pop up and they definitely don't look censored to me. It looks like Stellar Blade may have censored the blood splatters as well. Oh my God. I don't know, man. I think people are trying real hard. I'll be honest with you, like some of the stuff I'm seeing, I'm not really understanding. Oh, okay, hold on. This might be a clear look here. No, dude, this is weak. Was it really censored? I'm looking at these screenshots and it's like I guess maybe like to a certain degree. I'd have to look deeper into it truthfully, but from what I can tell, it just seems like people getting angry that there's not more titty and blood splatter on the character itself. And I'm going to be real with you. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm a fucking grown adult male, dude. Like, I'm not playing. Like, look, maybe some people are playing this game because they need to see tits bouncing in their face. That's not why I'm playing it. It's nice. Sure. I don't mind. That's not why I'm playing the game. I'm just being real. Like, if that's what it was, like they basically took her thing and they brought it up here. I'm not, to be clear, I'm not advocating for it. I'm against censorship. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like I'm not going to play the game. Like, whatever, dude. I mean, there's a fucking skin suit, is there not? Wait, did they take the skin suit out? They didn't take the skin suit out, did they? Not that that's how I'm planning on playing it, but If they did something like that, I'd be like, "What? Okay, that's taking it a bit far." I can't find this Grums guy, by the way. I don't know if I'm blocked. Wait, I think I found him. Let me see real quick. No, this isn't actually him. I can't find this person. I know who it is, but it's not, he's not showing up. People, let me see. I can't find him. Just give me a second here. I'm just trying to. Okay, I found him. Took long enough. The 8-step plan to free Stellar Blade. Show them gamers win. Restore the original game to what was promised. A thread. What the fuck is this, dude? So apologies for the dead air. I'm just trying to scroll through and see what people are. Okay, here's the unpatched disc version and the patched default. Jesus Christ, dude. Like, is this really? Dude, is this really what people are screeching about? Holy fuck. Holy fuck, dude. I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not pro censorship by any means, but again, man, like, I don't know. This is why I just want nothing to do with Twitter, dude. You're saying it's the principle that matters. I get it. I do, but I cannot pretend to be outraged. Like, I can't. I just can't. I can't. Like, I would be fucking lying, dude. If I pretended to be angry, I'm looking at these, I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, there ain't no way you're going to freak the fuck out this hard over something that minuscule. I can't. I just can't. Like, go on fucking Pornhub, dude. Seriously. Oh, I hope this doesn't get, oh shit, I hope I didn't just demonetize this fucking stream by saying that. Damn it. See what they're doing to me? They're going to get me censored now. Buy physical plan patched. There you go. There you go. There's a solution. I'm not saying it's not about who cares about censorship. I understand the principle of it, but it's like, come on, bro. Like, if you're going to go on some holy crusade about censorship, this is what you're doing it for? This is what you're doing it for? Like, this is going to be your leading charge? Like, oh my God. How can you not get laughed at? Seriously, how could you not get laughed at? Like, I can't imagine me being a grown-ass adult man and, like, being on my keyboard, being on my computer, being on my keyboard, like, they censored her cleavage. How dare they? I need to make a petition. Like, dude, you need to go out. You need to take a fucking break. You need to go out. You do. You need to get some fucking air. This is insanity. This is insanity. I mean, I get the passion. I do. I appreciate the passion, but like, oh my God, man. I just don't get it. Like, you know what Shift Up should do though, for real? Like just to shut it, just make the skin suit a flat out naked mod. Okay? I have a serious question for you guys though. This is a very serious question. No jokes. I need to know. I need somebody to help me out here to let me know because I don't have the game yet. And I'm relying on somebody here to be honest with me. Did they take out the skin suit? Or did they change the skin suit? I need an answer to that question because if the answer's no, then this entire conversation is null and void. That skin suit, you can literally see her nipples through it. So if that's still there and you can play that entire game in a fucking skin suit, what the fuck are people going on about? I'm being dead serious, dude. Like, what the fuck would you be crying about when you can play her as naked? I'm telling you, man, this is why these people get fucking laughed at because it's like, maybe, just maybe, look, I'm not saying it was a creative choice, but it's just like, Jesus, dude, you want to talk about Sony interference? You want to talk about censorship? Why the fuck would they say, hey, you cover up that cleavage, but you can keep that skin suit where her nipples are popping right through? Like, what? It's just, I can't even fathom what is happening here. Because when somebody in the chat mentioned earlier that there's censorship going on, that's the first thing I thought. The first thing I thought is the skin suit got nerfed or they removed it. Because that is the most egregious. It's basically a naked skin. Like she's naked. Dude, these people, man, what the fuck is wrong with them? This is why I want nothing to do with Twitter. I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is why I want nothing to do with Twitter. You guys are confirming to me it's still there. It's untouched. This is why I want nothing to do with it. Because I'm telling you, Twitter makes people mentally ill, dude. It does. It makes people mentally ill. And the longer you're on there, the longer you begin to convince yourself you're fighting for some self-righteous fucking, you're looking to fulfill some kind of fucking prophecy. You're fighting on the right side of history. You become mentally ill and unhinged. And I'm just seeing it happen more and more where it's like I literally go on there and I see shit like this and I'm like I just can't tell. Is this satire or are you serious? It's so fucking disturbing. Also, I just want to remind people, and this isn't defending Sony. It's just pointing out the reality. I know everybody's like, oh, Sony's censoring and Sony's censorship. Like, dude, Sony let Naughty Dog show a scene of Abby getting fucking railed from behind. Uncensored. I'm just saying, that exists on the PlayStation platform. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? Saying, yeah, but she looks like a dude. Yeah, but I mean, it seemed like she wasn't, though. I'm just saying. If you watch that scene, although I'm not saying go watch it. It's just that's besides the point, man. That's besides the point. Oh man. All right. I went 10 minutes over what I was supposed to, but look, I want to make it clear before I end the stream. I am not pro censorship. I do not advocate censorship, and I do understand where some people are coming from. Are like it's the principle. I understand that, and I am a believer in the principle. It does matter. And look, if the truth of the matter is that Sony basically went to Shift Up and said, you got to change this, 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 and that because we don't like it, I'm not an advocate for that. And Sony, that fucking sucks. However, the results that I'm seeing are minuscule. The things that people are pointing out are very minor to a point where I would have never noticed it to begin with. And second of all, again, if I boot up that game and there's a skin suit where this woman's nipples are popping right through and she basically is naked, it's going to be difficult for me to believe that there's some kind of nefarious censorship campaign going on with this game. Because my question would be, then why the fuck is this there? Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any logical sense. So I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. People are getting crazy out here. All I will say is Sony, look, Sony, if you are telling any developers to censor their games, please don't. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's necessary. But then again, Sony, I have no fucking idea if you're doing that. Because why would you allow a naked suit in the game? Anyway, you're saying, no, they're not. No, she's not naked. I mean, I know she's not completely naked, but dude, come on. I saw that suit in the Shems. I saw that suit in the demo, bro. Like, I was taking a good look at it. I'm like, damn, they really put that in there, huh? So I don't know, dude. Everybody can make their own decisions. I'm playing Stellar Blade. I still think I'm still just as excited for Stellar Blade. And I'll be honest with you, man. I keep seeing so much shit on the internet, specifically Twitter, popping up about Stellar Blade, and I feel like I keep running into people who are trying really hard to convince me that I should be upset with Stellar Blade for one reason or another. And all the things that people keep bringing to the table, I just find comical, where it's like, nope, like I'm still buying and playing the game and I'm still just as excited for it. Sorry. You know? And so all I feel like I can say to people is like, look, I'm not telling you to go buy Stellar Blade and play it and enjoy it. I'm just telling you that I'm going to buy it and play it and enjoy it. And if there's stuff going on with that game that's upsetting you, then hey, you know, that's there's nothing I can do about that. But I can't sit here and deny my excitement for the game. Straight up. So that's the suit we need. Yeah. They're not trying to convince you. They're just pointing it out. Well, some of them are definitely trying to convince. Bro, there's a petition now, apparently. Again, like, I'm not trying to fight people on this. And that to me is what gets that's the most annoying aspect of it, is it has to be so divisive all the time, where it's like, dude, listen, if you see this and you're like, man, that's censorship and I'm not supporting it, okay. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. It's like, I think if you were excited for the game and you let something like this stop you from enjoying what is seemingly a great game, oh, I mean, I don't get it, but okay. That's your prerogative. That's your choice. You know? It's just, I'm telling you, man. Listen, I'm telling you. I'm going to give you a little, I'm just going to say this, and I'm not saying this to come off as like a fucking defeatist or anything, although I know that's how it will be interpreted. But if there's something, I've been on the internet following all of this stuff for many years now, And if there's something that I can tell you with certainty that I've learned over my years of following this stuff is at the end of the day, no one cares. And that does go both ways. I'm serious. At the end of the day, when everybody's done their yelling and they're done their cheering and they're done their fighting, no one cares, dude. And this shit is forgotten. And people move on. And it's just water under the bridge until the next thing comes along. And that's what I've noticed time and time again with, and here's the kicker, with literally everything. Not just a couple things, not just that and this. No, it's literally everything. It is a constant, never-ending cycle of outrage, go on your crusade, fight for whatever it is you believe you're fighting for, win, lose, doesn't matter. The next thing's coming in, time to go again. Next round's about to start, bro. That's just the way it is. And I'm kind of part of that here with Xbox and PlayStation, and it's kind of been the same way. It's just how it works. And that's why, that's why I don't like fighting with people, because it doesn't result in any meaningful outcome. And in fact, I feel like the best way to handle it is to just jump to the conclusion. In this case, it is better to jump to the conclusion, because it's like, well, what are you really going to do? What is the solution here? You know? In this case with Stellar Blade, the solution, you have 3 options. Option number 1, don't buy the game. Don't support the game. And if you talk about the game at all on the internet, you can encourage others to not buy and support the game. Option number 2, buy the game, don't download the patch and buy the game physically, don't download the patch and play the completely raw version of the game, I guess, that shipped day 1. Option number 3, just buy the game, play it normally, and enjoy it. And when you talk about it on the internet, tell other people like, hey, if you like this type of game, go buy and enjoy it. You might like it. That's it. That's it. All this other stuff in between that people are doing, it's like, it's not going to matter. None of it's going to matter. Sorry. It never does, and it never will. It's all for clicks. It's all for views. It's all for attention. And the sooner people realize that, the easier it'll be to just realize, you already know the answer. You know what I mean? You already know the answer. You already know if you're going to play Stellar Blade or not. It's like Fight Club. Rudy says, I just fight for Super Earth, bro. There you go. Yeah, if you're not interested in the Stellar Blade nonsense, keep fighting for Super Earth. Can't go wrong. Mr. B says it was a design choice by Shift Up, not censorship. Blasphemy. That's blasphemous, Mr. B. Are you kidding me? You're telling me Shift Up wanted to hide some of that cleavage? Is that what you're telling me? I'm kidding, of course. It very well could be. That's what I'm saying. That's all I got to say about that, man. Make your own choice. Decide for yourself. Just be careful. That's all. I just want to encourage people to be careful when you're reading things on the internet and following people. Even with me, you got to think for yourself. You do. You got to think for yourself, and you got to not be careful to never be a sheep. I know that term gets thrown around and used a lot, but you really got to be careful not to be a sheep, and always question where you learned something. Who told you that? Where's this information coming from? Who's saying this? Who's pushing this? Why is this being shoved in your face? And you really need to ask yourself, what is the agenda here? Because there's always an agenda, and even with me. And that's just the truth, man. Everybody has their own agenda because we're all individuals with our own goals in our minds, things that we want to achieve, even on a subconscious level. So just think for yourself. That's all. Shem says that's why we're having this conversation. Exactly. Exactly. Think for yourself. Mr. B, you're saying that's what Kim, the director, said. Interesting. Okay. I didn't know he responded to it. See, I want to say this too, because now that you're bringing that up, Mr. B, I'll have to look into that myself if I care enough. I mean, do you happen to have his Twitter handle or where I can find out what's my agenda? Well, truthfully, my agenda is not. It's pretty. I make my agenda pretty obvious. My agenda is I want to continue to stream and build a community here and talk about gaming and PlayStation and sometimes Xbox. And my biggest agenda is the hype factor, bro. Like anybody who's been following me for a long time, you know my agenda is to ride that hype wave, man. I love when there's exciting shit happening. I mean, again, we talked yesterday all about the blue box situation. My agenda was very clear. Hype wave, bro. Like, let's go. All aboard the hype train. This shit's real. This shit's magic. And, you know, sometimes it crashes and it burns, but that's my agenda, dude. To have a good time and have some enjoyable conversation with some like-minded and sometimes not so like-minded individuals. That's about it. MBG's agenda is to enjoy. B. Flesher says, I think it's fair to be annoyed with it because it was a large selling point of the game, but Jesus, people have to stop jumping to conclusions and freaking out. The only real censorship that I think happened, but even then it's like, I don't know that I would call it censorship. Like to call it censorship is like, really? Is when they changed the word hard to crime because people were very upset. It's like, I guess that's censorship, but it's like, I mean, you could kind of understand why they were like, we should probably change that. But listen, I wanted to just say this. I went way longer with this stream than I had planned, but hey, bonus topic at the end here. When it comes to what Mr. B said, he claims that I think like the game's director said it was a creative choice. That's the thing, dude. Like, this is why I can't. If that's true, then I don't understand how anybody could actually be upset. I mean, I guess like from a certain point where it's like, but I liked it better the other way. And it seems like there was no reason creatively to change it. I can understand that. But if that's what they're telling you, then I don't understand where the rage would come from. If they were like, yeah, dude, we didn't choose to do that. Like we were asked to censor it. I could understand why people would suddenly get so angry. It's like, yo, that's not cool. And that's what's weird to me. He's saying, love the centrist point of view after calling everyone mentally ill. I'm not, to be clear, I'm not calling everyone mentally ill. I should probably clarify that. I'm saying that the people who are really entrenched in this, where they make it almost like their life's mission, they're like readying for battle. I think that's mental illness because it's like, dude, what the fuck is so serious about this? Like, there's actual like war and shit breaking out in the world. Like, and like, this is what we're going to die for here? Like, this is what we got to rally the troops for? Like, come on. You know, like, it just feels like, it feels like a kind of like get real moment. Like, there's more serious shit out there than this. That's all. I mean, look, maybe I'm downplaying a little too much, but I'm not saying everybody who has a problem with it is mentally ill. I'm just saying that the people who are most entrenched and seem to just spend every waking moment of their existence, you know, feeling like they're fighting some kind of, I don't know, meaningful war. It's like, all right. I mean, I guess it's part of the whole culture war thing, if I had to guess. He said it was a design choice, but they're still looking into it. Interesting. Well, see, now that wording's interesting to me. Looking into it. No, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not trying to like, again, I just think it's a matter of sometimes we have to just ask ourselves, how serious is all of this really? Like, I'm not saying if we can't be passionate, right? Like, we can be passionate, but I just think that there's limits where I feel like I see people on the internet too frequently, again, specifically on Twitter, where it's like, I think this crossed over from passion to something else, at some point where it's like, I can get behind the passion and the drive, but I think it just comes down to like how seriously people take themselves. I think that's what it comes down to. And that's what always concerns me the most is the more serious I see a person take themselves, where they really, you can tell, like they exude this energy where they truly believe they are doing something important in the world. Don't get me wrong. There are people out there who are doing important things in the world, but I promise you, most of those people who are actually making the biggest impact don't walk around with that type of energy. They don't, because that type of energy is not actually needed to make impact in the world. It's people who are misguided and are ego-driven that are walking around with that type of energy, and they believe that's how they're going to make an impact on the world. That's my view of it anyway. And that's why I always get worried when I see this shit and I see how easily people follow it, where it's like, you guys got to know, like this person is just like, they care about winning, dude. And they just care about the world being a reflection of how they believe it. Like, it should be a reflection of how they see it. And the more people that agree with them and the more people that say, yes, you're right, like that's all that matters to them. And that's fucking weird to me, dude. It always has been. I'm sorry. Like, I'm more of the type of person, maybe I'm more like libertarian in this way, but I'm more of just like, let people do what they want, dude. Like, if it's not hurting you actively or damaging your property, let people live, And I think that that's just where people get, I guess that's kind of the difference in human beings is like some people get so fucking, everybody's triggered by different things, Like, I could walk down the street and a person could, like a random person could yell to me from across the street the nastiest thing in the world. Like, I mean, something truly they could call me, I'm not going to say any of these words, but they could just call me a terrible name and talk badly about my family or something. Okay. I'm going to keep walking. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. I don't know who you are. You seem like a psychopath to me. In fact, I'm just going to keep my distance. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get upset. I'm just going to be, hey, that's pretty unhinged behavior. I'm on alert mode now. I'm on caution mode. But there's so many people out there that if somebody said that to them, they would fucking snap, dude. They would run across the street. They would probably physically try to harm that person, or they would get in their face and start yelling back. And this is where I just feel like everybody's so different, where it's like, as I get older, I just feel like I've gotten what I consider to be better, but it's different for everybody. I feel like I've gotten better at determining like what really is worth my time and energy and reaction versus what is not. Like, for example, I think this is a pretty unpopular opinion with a lot of people, but think about it. In most cases, it is better to walk the fuck away. You know how they say it's fight or flight? Flight is 99% of the time the better option. Not all of the time, but most of the time it is. Because that's where the saying, you got to pick and choose your battles, right? And I've seen so many people lose. And when I say lose, I mean like suffer consequences, dude, because of their emotions, their emotional reactions over nothing. Maybe not nothing, but over situations where it's like, dude, why? Like, is that worth it? And it's just, I don't know, man. To me, I just see everybody so willing to fight over everything and get so upset over everything. Don't get me wrong. There is a time to fight. There is a time where you got to take some kind of stand, because there are truly malicious people out there that will not stop if you let them keep going, but most of the time it's not like that. And most of the time it's just people finding themselves in arguments, in fights, in conflict. That's like, dude, there's no reason for this whatsoever. In fact, if you walked away from this right now, your life would be 100% better. Like you wouldn't, only good things would happen if you just let it go and walk away. To your life and everybody in it. Probably anybody around you that cares about you or that you care about. And that's the reality. And that's why I just find Twitter to be such a strange place, because I just see, like, I just always ask myself, like, would these people, if they were in a room together, is this how they would be interacting? And I promise you, the answer is no, 99.99% of the time. And if it wasn't no, I can promise you somebody's going to leave with their teeth knocked out. Somebody's going to leave in an ambulance. Because that's how it goes. It's crazy shit, dude. The world is strange in 2024, let me tell you. Maybe it's always been this strange, but now it's just more on display for everybody to see. We have Shattered Glass 23 here. I was supposed to end the stream like an hour ago, and I'm still going, dude. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just the energy of the carrots is what it is. You're saying here, just got a copy of Stellar Blade. I just got my copy of Stellar Blade. Uploading the PS5 now. Dude, there's still nothing like opening up a physical game you're looking forward to. Absolutely, Shattered Glass. Am I the only one that's still kind of like, you get the whiff, the smell of a brand new opened game has like that. I'm sure it's not good to inhale, but it's got this kind of like, it's like the smell of the cellophane wrapping and the plastic. It has a very unique scent, and it's very nostalgic for me, because I remember smelling that when I was younger every time I'd open like a PS2 game and stuff. And it's still the exact same smell, I guess, because it's made out of the same materials. And I know it's so weird, but I love it, man. I love physical games. I really hope physical games, at least for PlayStation, don't go away anytime soon. I got my collection back here, as you can see. I'm still building it. My goal is I want to get the second row filled up with physical games. I think that's about 42 or 43 games. Should be one more added to the collection when Stellar Blade comes in. But yeah, I would like to fill out that second row. I would like to fill out that whole thing. Top, bottom. I love physical games, man. PlayStation 6 physical games, Sony. Make it happen. Make it happen. Anyway, I'm sorry I went on that whole tirade there, man. It happens. You know how it is with me. I meant to end the stream an hour ago after I did the reps, but then I got going on a bunch of stuff. Look, I'm not necessarily a pacifist. I know it seems like I am. I don't consider myself like a fighter either. I just consider myself somebody that I am willing to fight for what I believe is truly right if it's necessary, right? If what I believe is truly right is under serious threat, or what I care about or what I believe in is under serious aggressive threat, I will absolutely fight for that, and it's more of a defensive position at that point. Outside of that, I don't see much reason to fight with anybody or anything, because it's just people are going to do what they want to do, and I can't stop them from doing that. And I don't necessarily feel the need to try to convince people that you should feel this way or you should think this way. I feel like it's better to just talk to people normally and try to find some kind of middle ground or common ground and just talk to them there, because they're much more likely to actually hear you out and try to see things from your point of view. And if you can't do that, I'm also a believer in just keep your distance. I am a believer in that. I don't know if, again, like, this is why I don't consider myself a full pacifist, where it's like, I do think that there are just some people that will never be able to get along. There are some people that the way that they believe life should be lived is so different. It's like water and oil. You're not going to mix them together. Just keep them separate, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think it has to be done in a, that's where things get tough because, I mean, we kind of see that now with nations and countries and, is it ever enough for anybody? I'm not going to go. I'm going to stop. I'm just getting too deep. Supposed to be talking about fucking video games here, and God knows where I'm going. But thank you guys for hanging on this long. Seriously, you guys are the goats for real. By the way, we're sitting at 88.4% with a like to dislike ratio. We're sitting at 366 likes. We still have over 170 people here. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do so. I want to see if we can get it to that 90% mark. I know we can do it. If we can hit like 380 likes, I think we'll move it to the 90% mark. That would be fantastic because I think we're really proving something by doing that. Because I know for a fact, here's another thing for you guys. Some of these likes are going to be removed. Like this stream somehow has almost 50 dislikes. I promise you, at least a third of those dislikes are going to be removed because there's somebody, every time I talk about Xbox, dude, there's somebody who has multiple accounts and they come in here with each account and they dislike it and they get removed. And I don't know why they keep doing it. I think it's because they're trying to throttle the channel. But I think this will be an appropriate place to end the stream. I feel like I kind of failed today a little bit. Not going to lie. I know that's maybe a bit dramatic, but my goal with the stream today was to keep it shorter, more focused, more concise. And to be fair, I think for the first 2 hours I did that. But I definitely did not maybe failed's a strong word, but I guess I had an intent with this stream, and I allowed the last hour, I allowed myself to do what I do and just go on and on. But I thank you, Laurent. That's very kind of you. You're saying, come on, man, you always give everything. I know you guys appreciate it. I know you guys enjoy it. And I very much appreciate that. It's just that I do feel like, dude, my streams, I think it's good to have some longer 3-4 hour streams, but I just think that sometimes, like if I'm going to do this near daily, I have to be able to learn to cut it off. Like, dude, you stream for 2.5 hours. Don't push it too far. I'm trying to make it easier. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for new people, because that's my whole thing. I'm trying to get new people into the chat, into the channel, into the streams. It's hard to do that. And I just think sometimes if I can offer some shorter streams, it might make it easier and less intimidating for people. So today that didn't happen though. Today we're going to be ending the stream at about 3 hours and 40 minutes. And so I am going to segue to my outro now. And guys, you're about to do it, man. You guys are awesome. We're at 375 likes. Thank you so much for that. And so, yeah, I'm going to just, before I head out, extend a very big thank you to everybody who showed direct support today. We're sitting at 56 members gifted, which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. Another big day. And we got a really good amount of super chats, some really interesting super chats as well. You guys know, as I always say, this channel is fan funded. I rely on you guys, those of you who were able to support it directly, to be able to do this. And if it wasn't for your support, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to run this channel the way that I do, and I wouldn't be able to produce these streams the way that I do. So it's a privilege. It's an honor. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Shout out to the sponsors of this channel, which is all you guys. I also want to make sure to thank Devil Shooter. Devil Shooter does the timestamps for the streams. He does an amazing job. If you see him in the comments, give him a big thank you. I know he really appreciates that. I know he really cares about the community. So Devil Shooter, shout out to you, my friend. thank you for what you do for the channel. And once again, just one last reminder, in about 20 minutes, I'm going to have a video going out, kind of covering this in a short form video, and there will be a short going out. So go check that out. Show it some extra support if you don't mind. And with that being said, I'm probably going to take tomorrow off, and we will be back here on Sunday. Okay, so that does it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go rehydrate and hopefully game some more. So, all right, that does it. I will catch you guys in the next proper stream. So until then, take care, everyone.